and they're, but, when everybody got all nerdy on fucking whiskey, all the shit that you could get all the time and either became unavailable or crazy expensive. And I was like, I'm over it.
Yep.
I'm over it.
So what is this whiskey?
It's just a Willet bourbon, and the bottle's the shape of their still.
Oh, does that make a difference?
No, it's just kind of
Fancy.
like an homage to their still.
Oh, okay, I see.
That's what their distiller looks like.
Looks like something would be in Aladdin.
Most of them look like that. Like if you go see the one at Garrison Brothers, the first still that they bought that they used looks almost identical to that. So,
shit, pour some of this stuff in here.
Yeah, let's go.
Go for it. Let's kill it.
And what's the proof on this? I don't even remember. I've had it 100 times, but
40. I think it's 40 proof.
94.
Oh, I lied. Fuck me.
That sound.
Yeah, I know. Man, I went to a guy I work out with, his pool yesterday, and he had that cabinet of just like whiskeys that he's paid like $10,000 for or more type of a thing. I mean, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like it was just amazing to look at.
Yeah, that when you see people that collect that shit, it's so wild.
Put the mic close.
It's super wild to see that.
Yeah.
But what's it? Mike Shannon. He used to ride. I bet you if you saw him, you remember back in the Strokers days. But
sounds familiar.
He had a huge Garrison Brothers collection.
That is
Huge.
smooth. Mm-hmm. God damn. I can get fucked up on this.
Yeah, it's good. Nice and oily too.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, look at all that. All right, here we go.
All right, guys.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming to do this. I remember I texted you guys. I was still in Oklahoma, and I was like, man, I had all the energy in the world while I was in Oklahoma to do this. And then every day it got closer. I was like, fuck, dude, this heat. This heat's been kicking ass here. It's only 95 degrees a day, and it feels like as we get older, does the heat affect us differently?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
100.
Does it like add another degree every year?
But there's a flip side to that too. So like I'm from the north, and like the cold does the same thing to you. Like as you get older, you're just like, man, the hell with this.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
I'll take the heat all day over the cold, but it used to be like summer here in Texas was my favorite. You know, like when you could see that shimmer on the road on the blacktop, I was like going riding.
Dude, I swear to God, man, I remember like being young, 20 years old, taking the ACs out of my car to get 5 more horsepower.
Serious?
Yeah. I didn't want that belt running that damn compressor. I wanted, save that weight.
I still don't have AC in the Silverado yet. So I drove it over to Corey's to have them weld that gas tank. Windows down. I'm like, this is miserable. Sitting at an intersection was miserable. Yeah. Miserable. And we're not even in the 100-degree. We're just preheating, dude.
Yeah.
It's not even it's not even hot yet. Wait till like August and September.
I do feel like last year though we were hotter. Earlier.
Yeah, definitely was.
Because I remember when you guys left for your trip last year, we were already in the hundreds.
It does. We haven't hit 100 yet, which is good. Because it felt like last week we were in the 70s. Yeah. Like bite night last week was nice.
Exactly.
Very nice.
So, I don't know, man.
Evenings are still good. Mornings are great. It's just yesterday was the first time I think I really noticed it. And, we were at the pool and my wife had said something. No, it was actually Friday. I remember now. Friday, she said something. She's like, no patios today. And I was like, what? I was like, it's not that bad. And I looked and it's like, the feels like was already 98. I think it was 95 degrees. Feels like it was 90. I don't know. It was hot as shit. I know. And we went to Terry Black's. That's how I know now. Because then I was like, well, nobody's here. Nobody was on the patio. Yeah. And then you open up the door and I'm like, fuck.
It is here in Texas. Whenever you start opening up doors to places and you get blasted with, it's almost like everything that's shiny surface on you starts to gloss over and like fog up like your sunglasses and shit.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm worried about it. I'm glad that I'm leaving here pretty soon, though. That's another good thing. But, man, so Texas Hills just passed. That was y'all's first time, right? You hadn't done Texas Hills before.
No, I've never done it. No.
What'd y'all think, man?
I mean, personally, I had an amazing time.
Yeah.
It's
y'all went and rode.
Yeah, we rode.
And y'all rode, too.
Yeah, we did 1,000 miles.
Damn.
Corey and I did.
Wow.
And so that was just here in Texas, which is,
Not that hard to do.
Not that hard to do. No, no. But it's awesome that
Yeah.
we live in a state that big where you can do that, and just in that area.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
just in that area. So I liked it. Mikey and Dustin were
They did awesome.
cool as shit, and meeting Tom, everybody there. That's the one thing that I think I liked the most. That it was just the coolest. Everybody was so cool. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that is just one of the, and I think that's a lot. I see that a lot with, I think this segment of Harley Davidson's as a whole, a lot of FXR guys, the performance guys. There's not a lot of dick measuring. No, everybody is cool. Nobody's trying to trash anybody. Nobody talks shit. Everybody's just there to have a good time and talk about motorcycles, and you feel like you're with real motorcycle nerds, and you just seeing some of the stuff like Seth's bike and
Which one was Seth's bike?
Seth's the dude, Alabama. I think he's from Alabama. He had the 86 with the tour packs. It was up on the stage. It was over there by Hans's bike. It's the burgundy and gray.
Okay.
I think I remember that one now.
Dude.
Who had the blue one with the Sport Glide bags on it?
I don't know. It was downstairs on the stage. I don't know. At first, I was like, "Is that a Hypertech on there?" That bike was dope too.
Yeah.
There was some really cool ass fucking motorcycle. And whether you're into choppers or, I was just blown away by like Seth's bike, Hans's bike. Who were the guys that they were over there just around from you? I can't remember their.
The guys from California.
They
had that red.
They had the black Road Glide, and
Didn't they have a red FXR?
I don't remember.
By his tent?
Yeah. There's the black Road Glide. It was a black road. I don't remember.
Oh, right behind Justin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What was that tent? What was those guys?
Yeah, they were like a the main guy, apparently his son was killed on an FXR, and so now he's doing this kind of charity thing for a lot of. They're waiting. They were saying they were waiting on their 501c something paperwork to come back.
Okay.
But I forgot the premise of it, but it is some kind of charity based thing.
Oh, okay.
That they're doing amongst, man, I feel like I'm gonna murder whatever it is, but basically it has something to do with bikes, and it has something to do with like maybe getting a wrecked bike from the bike that was wrecked that someone died on, and maybe trying to find a way to put it back together and then selling it for
to raise money.
For the family or whoever was left
okay.
behind, something like that.
Okay.
So
yeah, I thought it was a good. I'm really happy with the vendors that did come out, and I mean, it was just a good vibe all around.
Oh,
What's up with the cops figuring out where we're at though all the time?
Well, when you start coming in doing burnouts and holding up traffic, it's definitely going to happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is weird too for that place because
it's like country roads.
Yeah, it's out
almost.
in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Those guys they ran for a long time before the cops showed up, and then I don't know what happened when the cops did show up. Did they shut them down?
I swear to God, I saw it. Like this guy was doing a rolling burnout, and then the cop comes up behind him, hits the sirens on him, and he lets off the burnout and just fucking leans into it. But it's like, I don't know what happened. I don't know if he got away. I assume not, because it's a straight road for 5 miles to the next town.
Yeah, where are you going?
Someone told me that the cop eventually turned his lights off just because he was so far ahead.
Oh,
It was one of those things where he just like hauled ass but that was hearsay, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It was good for the gram, that's for sure.
exactly. It was a cool video clip, but I know it was.
How'd you like the riding out there? Like, you've done it a lot. That was kind of like your first time out there in the hill country area.
Yeah, it was. I'd been down like around Fredericksburg before, but I had never done the Twisted Sisters. I was like, listen, I know there's a lot of overhype with the sisters, but I had to do it once.
Yeah.
Right.
And miscalculated a little bit. It was still an hour and a half just to get to them from there, and then probably an hour and a half around them, and then an hour and a half back, and then you stop for lunch too. So I got back the second day later than I wanted to be because just didn't really think through the whole logistics of it. But it was awesome. I mean, I loved the twisties down there, and it wasn't very packed. You kind of got that roller coaster feel. I mean, you kind of had your stomach drop out, and there were a couple areas where I could still rip it like 70 miles an hour, through there and have some good.
There's some good vistas too. Like you'll come over around hills and see for quite a ways.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. 337 is my favorite leg of that, and so I'll usually just run 337 until it stops, and then you got to make the jump and catch it again.
And so like the I don't know, square of the sisters, the section of 337 over here was really good.
Yes.
Like
when
not
you're
even
coming out of
actually in
Medina.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's my favorite. One of my favorite runs down there, and I don't care if I'm in a car or on a bike. That's one of my favorite. But I hadn't been down a lot of these roads. Mikey and Dustin had suggested a lot of cool places for us to ride. We did a 165, and we did Devil's Backbone, but there was a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
I wanted to do River Road. Is that the one that you were telling me?
Yeah, it's a chill ride. It's like a slow, like you're cruising like 40 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour, where the old Giddy Up used to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that road. It's also timing though, right? Because that road can become a nightmare when there's a lot of traffic on it. Like you can get caught behind like a bicycle parade thing or wherever they are. Everybody's riding bikes. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's a parade. I think it's a race or some shit. But it's one of those roads like. Back in the day doing Giddy Up, it was always that time of the year where the flowers were kind of blooming in Texas. It was still chilly, so you'd have like a hoodie on, and that road would be the best to ride on. So I miss it. Yeah. That's why I go down there every March to go camp and ride.
All right.
And it looks like the dates are already announced. So next Memorial Day weekend again next year.
You're gonna push it again,
Okay. Yeah.
Cool.
So I'll be there. It's I'm so super thankful we have something. Well, there's just more of them. So, I like it coming right off of 1 month you have Fast Life Campout, and then the next month you have
and that's more of a show too, so you get kind of like what our Campout doesn't have, that show kind of has, so you can kind of
they're just totally different events.
Different
events. I think Texas Hills, to me, that's what we did. It was just you just rode. You just rode the whole time, and if you wanted to go to the show and hang out and have beers and hang out, that was an option. But I like that they encourage people to get out and to ride.
Go ride, yeah.
And whereas the campout just ends up that's the destination. For a lot of people, riding. They're riding to the campout. That's the ride for them. Yeah. The campout is just the destination. Some of these guys now been on the road for 2-3+ days. Yeah. So when they get there, they're ready to unwind and party, and so it's a good venue for that.
And we stayed downtown Bernie. Where'd you stay at?
We were in Blanco, right next to the police station. Literally right next door to the police station.
Well, Corey gets pretty wild. I don't know how you kept him out of jail.
He's definitely the one to let talk to the cops. He's very respectful, very well spoken and whatnot. So he'll get you out of a ticket or two.
This is hilarious. No, it was a cool little old farmhouse that had been renovated. The Google pictures look super sketchy because it was all overgrown and it's just a bunch of trucks parked in the front yard. There's probably a couple pit bulls and some roosters hanging around there, but it's all been cleaned up. It's super nice. So
it's crazy. You can go back and look at some of the Google photos of like some of these Airbnbs that's been re-renovated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're like, yo.
Yeah. I think next year though, I think it would be nice to get us a little bit more collaborative and like try to whether it's get more houses nearby and just try to get more of us closer.
Well, trying to find one house, because it always boils down to like when you have multiple like couples going, then the couples always want a room, you know what I mean, especially the chicks, right?
Yeah.
If it was just all of us dudes going down there, we can have a big fucking loft, or a big just barn, and we'll all just crash wherever. So if we can find something with like 6 to 8 bedrooms, it'll be easy to do that for sure.
Was it I know a lot of people were complaining, I guess, about the campgrounds. I don't really know.
It looked kind of cool.
It looked cool to me.
Was it down in that river?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it wasn't the amenities of the campground. I think it was whoever owns it or runs it. I guess some guys were complaining about pricing or something like that. But it's still cheaper than an Airbnb,
right?
So
those days of like $15 campsites is over.
Yeah,
right.
No, especially when they know all these people are coming.
Yeah, it's like you want to sleep somewhere cheap, go to Lowe's parking lot.
Yeah,
go sleep there.
And when we were leaving Cody and Franz's house that night, there was a bunch of cops at that campground too. So something was happening going on. I don't know what.
Probably
happened.
People complaining about noise and shit.
Sure. Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
That's what I always tell people. Like it's doing the camp out stuff. It's not just finding a campground. You got to find a campground that's willing to let you be that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that way it doesn't disturb other people, or you're never gonna get away with that shit at KOA.
Hell
or
no.
nothing like that.
No.
You know. Or if you roll up to a campground, there's nothing but RVs everywhere. Like, bro, you're not getting
Nope.
away with that.
No, it's over.
You got to find a place that's kind of like, you know, on board with what you plan to do. Like, we're going to be loud all night long.
Yeah.
We're paying for it to be here. And, you know, it is what it is.
Right.
So,
Yeah. And it's got to be it's got to be a spread out spot too. Cause some people actually want to go sleep, need to get some space. But yeah, was it Franz? I can't remember what night it was. Franz messaged me. He's like, "Hey, where are you at?" And they're staying
It's like 7 miles north of the roundup.
they were almost an hour away. From where
that's where
from
we were an hour away in Canyon Lake. That's why I wasn't drinking whenever I was at the house. I had like one beer. Such a tease.
Yeah, Franz is like, "Where are you?" It's like 9:00 at night. He's like, "Where you at?" I took a picture of my bed. I was just getting ready to get in bed, just sit there on my phone. I just took a picture of my bed. He's like, lame.
Well, there were a lot of people at the show that said they were coming that didn't show. So
Who was walking around inviting everybody?
Yeah,
Somebody wasn't it like Cody or
I think
somebody?
it was Cody. Yeah,
We're all having a party at the house and blah blah blah. And I don't know.
Well, we rode. I'm just not a big fan of riding through. It's deer country,
dude,
and
deer
I don't want to ride
crazy.
there. I don't want to ride through there at night. Yeah, it's brutal. And if you spend any time down there riding, you know that.
I had to dodge a possum on the way back that night. Yeah,
So we ran late, leaving Little Darlin Thursday night, and so we were riding in the dark for well over an hour, and then we're getting into Dripping Springs. And you're trying to find something to eat at 9:30 at night.
everything closes at 9
Yeah.
or 8.
Yep.
So I've never eaten so many hamburgers in a row
Yeah.
when we were on that trip.
That first night, Friday night, we went back to New Braunfels and went to like the nicest steakhouse they had. It was nice. It was good. We showed up there at 9:30. They closed at 10. And then the
So
clean
like
moto
waiting style,
Yeah.
throwing your steaks on the ground.
pretty much. Then the clean moto guys, they left the spot and went to the location in San Antonio. So we had to wait for them to come back.
Oh, that's right. I remember this story now.
And so we didn't end up starting to eat or order our food till 10 o'clock when they closed. And they were all chilling about it.
They were okay.
And Justin's drunk as hell.
Yeah, it's his birthday, right?
It's his birthday. He's been drinking all day.
He's all on.
And,
He's all wound up on rosé.
Oh, dude, he was killing. Yeah, he was on that Black Girl Magic. And then, as soon as we get there, he starts drinking some more and shit. And I don't think I drank there. I think I was chilling out at that point. And because, dude, we left there. There were deer walking through the downtown New Braunfels area.
That
Really?
night.
Just on the street.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And yeah, the smoothest way to ever pay for dinner is always, I'm going to go to the bathroom right quick and pay for dinner. You never wait till they come to the table and
And
be like,
say,
I'll take it.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
it's first time. Right?
Exactly.
It's your
Right.
first time ever paying for dinner.
Yeah, right.
So he pulls that trick where he goes and pays for all this shit basically. And we're like, bro, like it's your fucking birthday. Like,
Yeah.
why?
We
Yeah,
pay
what
for
are you
you,
doing?
man.
So I mean, I left $100 tip. It was like a $500
Yeah.
meal with just 5 of us or something
Right.
like that. But I was like, dude, what the hell are you thinking? Like,
Yeah, right.
Gosh, we need to get you drunk more often,
Yeah,
Playboy.
Exactly. Yeah. If
well, he's probably making up because there was one time when I went and stayed at his house where we went to Chewy's, and I did that shit where I was like, I'll get it, and it was fucking $300 for a Chewy's dinner
For just
because
them
we were
two.
drinking just me and him, and I was like, God damn, I wasn't ready for that one, dude.
$300 at Chewy's.
Yeah,
Right.
we were drinking
Two people.
margaritas.
Did you guys get your names put on the on the marquee outside?
I don't think so, man. And then we went back to his house and drank wine. I was supposed to be at Boosted Brad's shop the next morning at like 10 a.m. I didn't leave Justin's house till 9 a.m. the next morning. Just ruined my day because I was going to stay with Millhouse at Thundermax up in Clarksville, where he's from. Just a rough day, rough morning trying to get past a hangover and get to Boosted Brad, do a podcast with him, all that stuff.
That reminds me, when is the Thundermax party? You don't know?
I don't know what's up with that party, man.
Or they might not do it, you think?
I think Thundermax is probably going to do something. I don't know if it'll be with the Club Style Tennessee stuff
Oh, okay.
because it was in conjunction with them,
Got it.
you know.
Because I was kind of contemplating, I'd like to go this year, but I want to do like the long way and go hit that Natchez Trace Parkway.
So we're doing our big trip the second half of it in September, and we plan to come into Nashville and do Natchez from Nashville all the way back into Louisiana where it starts.
Right.
So you might just want to come to Nashville and party with us one night and then roll
down.
back with us.
Okay, I might do that.
So that's the one thing about our trips this year is I'm hoping more people will come out and be a part of it.
Right.
We're not going that far away. Like,
Yeah.
We're a day's ride or
Yeah.
a day and a half's ride the furthest away from us,
Yeah.
So you rode to Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
you could do it in a day.
Yeah.
I did it in a day before.
Oh yeah, I made it back, or I did down south camp out in a day back, and that was
It's
long.
crazy. It's 1,000.
Yeah.
It's right at 1,000 miles from
Yeah.
down south back here
Yeah.
to. What do you think about the new shirt he just finally got done with?
I love it.
It's dope.
I love it. I already paid for it too. I was like, I'm on it.
I'm gonna wait for my free one. I give him one of my shirts. He gives me one of his shirts. That's
Yeah,
how it
for
works.
sure.
Yeah, but no, that was pretty dope. That's what the down south there is. Every day when you're there, you're like, I'm never fucking coming back.
I know.
And then as soon enough time goes by, you're like, I can't wait to go back.
Exactly.
Well, after last year, I was like, oh man, I kind of want to go. I kind of want to go.
I remember that shooting night. What was that? Like
That was-
Friday night?
Was it Friday night?
It was early. It was Thursday or Friday.
Thursday-
Thursday we were in Floribama.
Yeah,
so
it had to be Friday,
So it
then.
had to have been Friday.
Yeah.
And I remember we were sitting around Saturday, and someone was like, or Craig was like, I wonder what's going to be on the shirt. What's going to be crazy enough to be on the shirt next year? I'm like, that wasn't crazy enough. I'm like,
Yeah, these shirts write themselves at these events.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I wish, man. I don't know. The camp out shirt this year, we ended up just doing like a graphic logo tee, and I don't know.
but
I liked it.
I loved it.
I wear it actually. I don't
Yeah.
wear the other
I
ones.
can wear this year's T-shirt to work. I can't wear the other ones.
I like having titties on the shirt.
I get it, bro. I get it.
Bring
Get it.
titties back to motorcycles.
I get it. I get it. I have to like. Yeah, you can't
Put some
wear
tape on them. It's like you
That's a
tape
good
up your
idea.
ears.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Yeah. Or I'll just Sharpie a bikini top on them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's getting around to that point of the year where like when I come back from California next in 2 weeks or whatever, I'm stopping into Terralingo to hang out with Adam, do a podcast with Adam.
That's
and
awesome.
Do the podcast for him to help promote the Terralingo ride and run and stuff like that. And it's like, first off, it felt like this year we just got here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's already the middle of the year.
Dude, we're less than 2 months from Sturgis.
Exactly.
Less than 2 months.
Yeah.
First one, man.
I'm ready.
Sturgis.
I'm ready.
What's the perception in your head of what you expect or what you think it's going to be like?
I think it's changed all the time over the years. When you're younger, well, for sure when I'm younger, it's like you want to go because it's, it's like a party.
Yeah.
It's like when you first start going to rallies. You start going to big rallies, and you're just going for the rally to go and party. You could really give,
Yeah.
I don't know that riding is like a big part of it. This one, I don't know that I care too. I want to see the spectacle, but I honestly just kind of want
The
to,
rides.
just get all this riding squeezed in. And I know, Corey's going to be my chaperone. So, he's really hyper focused on the riding. Plus, get some really cool access to the show. I'm excited for that too. There's people that you'll probably only see at that event.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the motorcycle community, you'll probably only see them at that event. So I'm excited for that aspect of it.
Well, yeah, the FXR show at Sturgis is kind of like sometimes the only way you will see them because
Right.
the event's so spread out that it's hard to connect with people.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's why they went and them do the party at the house. And, you'll have the house too. So I'm sure there'll be some shit going on down there too.
Yeah.
That's kind of the situation is like those shows. It's like, if you're staying at a campground, you can't just get into the campground and go hang out with somebody.
Right.
You know what I mean? Every campground's wristbands in and out that, maybe if you're staying at a hotel, someone come hang out in your hotel. But, like, not a lot of people go and ride around at night there. It's like once the sun's down, most people are where they're going to be
Right.
at.
They're tucked in.
Yeah.
They're
or
just
they
hanging out.
start, like when Jetty and them showed up to Winton's last year in a big party bus.
Party bus, yeah.
So it's like, you know, when the sun goes down, most people start getting the Ubers. There's a bunch of like party bus type people like chaperoning you all over the place, so you don't have to like drive or ride your bikes. But that's kind of what happens at night.
Yeah, I'm just excited I've never been to that part of the country. There's just a lot of bucket list stuff that's getting checked off.
And you're staying in Spearfish, right?
Oh, yeah, Corey will correct me. Yeah, he'll chime in if he's watching. I think that's right. I'm literally just tagging along. I know I'm splitting driving duties. And
What day y'all going?
the 3rd, so what's that, Thursday? I think that's Thursday. I have to check my.
You're going straight through?
I'm assuming we're just going to drive straight through, yeah.
You got enough people, it's easy.
Tuesday's the 1st, so that makes sense.
It's just Corey and I, and then and I know we're trailering there's 3 bikes we're taking. His buddy that he normally rides up there with is he's graduating, so he's gonna leave his graduation ceremony and then fly there and meet us there. So I think we're just hauling his bike up there for him.
Sweet.
So yeah, and I don't know what I'm going with. No expectations, just a bunch of batteries for cameras and
I remember when I first started getting into Harleys years ago, I was like, oh, I want to go to Sturgis or whatever, and like the outsiders or whatever be like, oh, it sounds like it's such a rough crowd, like it's so dangerous, you know. And
you definitely look like you hang around some people that would say some shit like that.
Right. And it was nothing like that. I mean, it's nothing like, maybe in the 80s it was, I don't know, but
I always
I can see him at a business meeting or some shit.
Right.
Like,
they're like, dude,
Sturgis, he's a super spreader.
oh yeah, the year 2020.
I definitely get a lot of that shit for sure.
Man, go ahead. Oh, sure.
No, it's but I always think about like the first. I went to a lot of Rumble on the Rivers and a lot of those small rallies early on. You know, this is the early 2000s. And so, it was always like about the party, like, yeah, of course everybody rides motorcycles, but nobody really talked about the riding. Most of it was like if there was a show, people were hyper focused on the motorcycles that were at the show and then partying. Everybody just wanted to talk about, this party here, this party there. And I just assumed Sturgis was the same way. I mean, it's like when you and Jesse went that one time. Jesse ends up on Discovery Channel or whatever it was.
Yeah,
but it was all about the party.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because of like this podcast and then just, actually I was sitting at the motorcycle and I was going through like motorcycle magazines and just looking at all the routes, and that's all the magazine was just all these routes and places you can ride. And I like that a lot more, it's not so much the party.
Well, if you think about it, man, back in like probably the 80s and 90s, more people rode places than trailered.
Yeah.
And the whole concept of going to Sturgis was like the ride to Sturgis. Mm-hmm. So most people didn't talk about the rides of events because everybody rode to events. Mm-hmm. So it was just a given that, hey, there's a great ride to it, but hey, look, this is why we're going, right?
Yeah.
Man, the first Sturgis I ever went to, it just I didn't really have an expectation, or I didn't know what to expect. But my first time was 14, and it was like, man, it was pretty. Trying to really put myself back there. I've only missed 1 year of Sturgis since then.
Really?
Yeah, and it was 18, my worst year. The 18 was I had 2 wrecks in my car.
Oh, that's
I got audited by the IRS.
That's right.
Jetty's bike got stolen at HPI when I was on the bike out there.
That's right.
18 was a rough year for me.
Dude, Ricky Bobby put that shit on you, dog.
Yeah. So, yeah, 14. I mean, for me, it was all business, though. Like, I went in there with a business mind. Like, I got to meet this people. I need these people to see my work. And it was just that. When I went with Jesse in 17 was probably the first time I experienced Sturgis as a, like when we camped there and we stayed at the campground and we were kind of like, that was like the first time I got to experience like the essence of Sturgis, if that makes sense. I felt like being at that campground, like really, I like got into the inner workings of like the real heart and soul of Sturgis, because every hotel's booked and that's fine. I'm not hotel shaming anybody on this situation. I'm just saying when you stay at these campgrounds, you really tap into a different like wavelength of what Sturgis is. And I'm not staying at a campground this year, but eventually I do want to get back to like getting the big group like we've had in the past couple of years.
Camp out.
Yeah, dude, it's been a blast there. It's just that
I would like to try that.
It's
I would
fucking
for
rad.
sure try it.
I've
yeah.
got a house every time, and I want to try camping sometime.
But when we would do it, like the women would drive up there, we would ride. We'd meet them at a hotel in like, I think it was Alliance, Nebraska. We'd all party in the parking lot there at Alliance. And then it was like a short 100-mile ride into, Custer State Park the next day.
Nice.
And so we'd have our big tent. So it's not like we're packing our bikes out to camp on the bikes and whatnot. And then you get there, you got air mat. I mean, it's hardly camping, to be honest with you. But when you go to like those campgrounds, they have nice bathrooms. Like, so you're not going to shit in a porta potty. You're going to shit in almost a Buc-ee's equivalent option.
Damn.
Don't say that.
The one that we stayed in was nice. I mean, it was they had every hour they had someone clean the bathrooms. Every hour.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
So you always had toilet paper. You always had, it was never like shit stains on the wall.
Right, yeah,
it was
yeah.
always clean.
Yeah.
And so that made it a lot more comfortable. It's like I wanted to get back to the campsite to take a shit versus being out at the dealership or something.
Or
like
Iron
that.
Horse or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Where,
Yeah.
Be on your third stop sign going down Lozelle Street. Like, I got to shit, dude.
But get 2 feet down so the cows don't pull me over.
Exactly. Oh man, I'm trying to think, man. Like, what is there's something about going through the Black Hills though, like going and doing the Needles Highway, Iron Mountain, even Spearfish Canyon. There's something about it, and especially when you're around all these bikes, and every gas station you pull up to, there's a rally in the gas station.
Right.
yeah.
There's something about being there that I guarantee you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you'll understand what I'm saying. Like this, you feel like when you go to Sturgis, they're thankful that you're there, and you're there with your people. It's like the motherland. It's like it's like a biker heaven is what it feels like.
Well, I mean, I think there's a reason they'll call it Mecca. They'll compare it to Mecca.
What are your two, or what's at least one road up there that's like more of a best kept secret?
Best kept secret, man. I don't really know. There's some nice road going out towards Wyoming.
So
if you're like
87. So basically, if you were to, when you get to,
if you go through Lead and all that, like you're going like southwest out of the Black Hills into Wyoming, it's pretty nice.
I was gonna say the
Canyons,
exact same one.
Yeah.
Also, like basically, if you take Spearfish Canyon south, when you hit the T and going left to take you back to Lead, going right is 87.
Yeah.
And
That's where we got tickets at with Steve Chamberlain a couple years ago.
really,
Yeah, we were
that.
hauling ass.
So
Honestly, that rip. So if you go up towards like where the Buffalo Chip is, and you take a left and go around Bear Butte Mountain, to like Full Throttle, nothing special. But going around that mountain and those rolling hills and the big sky, bro.
yeah,
I'm into that shit, man. Like, the thing about Sturgis is like, there's so much history there. Every town you go into, you're in Keystone. The Keystone's the town where everybody lived to go do the Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
So they would live there, and then they'd go ferry or take something up there to go start working on the mountains and shit.
So that
like
town exists solely because
I don't think it's solely.
Oh, okay.
I think that was just base camp for them.
Okay.
But there's lots of little towns through it, and they were all gold mining towns. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
they had gold in them hills.
yeah, because Keystone, and I think there's another one called like Hill City.
Hill City. We used to stay when I was in my bike club. We had a house. We stay in Hill City every year, and it was a good spot. But until you're getting fucked up in Sturgis, and you got a 70-mile ride back to Hill City.
But there's a couple cool bars and restaurants in Hill City
Yeah.
that were cool to go to.
Dude, my buddy, one of the guys in my club. So there's a gas station right there in Hill City. It's the main intersection,
I know
and
exactly what you're talking
it's
about.
packed there all the time.
Yeah.
And dude's first time going to Sturgis, he comes back to the house. He goes, "Dude, I just sucked some old lady's titty, dude." Shut up, dude. He was like, "This girl just came up to me and started flashing her titties at me, and I just put one in my mouth." I was like, that literally never happens in real life.
Right.
And the other guy went with it because they went to do a beer run back.
So he had a witness.
He had a witness.
Oh, even better.
He sucked a titty at Sturgis, dude.
oh my god, he's like, dude, booster, don't let anybody know the truth.
But no, man, it's always badass there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super stoked.
There's another road too. I can't remember what it's called, but it actually
The Nemo or something?
it comes down off like right from Sturgis, and it runs kind of like parallel a little bit you could take it to Rapid City if you wanted, but it's
it's a Nemo ride, I think.
is that what it's called? I don't know.
So there's one that goes from basically where the Black Hills Harley Davidson is, and it takes you all the way to, it dumps you out on that one road that goes from Deadwood to, like, if you're going to go to Hill City and then go do
okay.
that's the road that takes you by that big lake and everything.
Yeah.
Well, this road runs parallel with that, but it dumps you right before you get to.
That's right. Yeah, I think that.
But there's another one that goes from Sturgis to that road Nemo that's badass.
I think that's what I'm talking about right there. Yeah.
You can't take a left or a right and not have a good time.
Right.
It's all going to be new for me. So,
Honestly, having somebody take you to do all the main stuff, perfect.
Yeah. Well, that was, Corey, because I've been going to South Texas it's one of my favorite places. I mean, it's a blessing and a curse. It's a reason I don't ever leave Texas, is because South Texas to me is just so beautiful. Mm-hmm. And we're not even talking like Big Bend. We're just talking like hill country. Yeah. So, when you get just outside of Austin, like Wimberley, west and south, all the way down to like Utopia, and it's beautiful. But so anyway, we went and rode that one day, and we were going out to Enchanted Rock because a couple of guys had never seen, and we had Steve was with us, the dude in the Air Force that had the black and white FXR, super nice guy. He's the one that we stole gas from to fill up Corey's bike on the side of the road.
Seeing that, yeah.
So we went out to Enchanted Rock because they had never been out there to see it. Well, on these trips going out there, me and my wife found this place, Troy Estate, Estates, I think is how it's.
Is that those little areas that y'all used to go get the little bungalow things?
Well, this is actually an estate, and
okay.
So it's the story I was told when we first went there and got the tour was this. It's a stockbroker, I guess, that owns the place. His wife owns it now; they're divorced, but. He built basically a small Western town. He was really into spaghetti Westerns. And so this dude had like the world's largest cap gun collection. It was like $2 million cap gun collection. Jeez. Cap guns that went all the way back to like Civil War era cap guns. Wow. Anyway, when you drive into his property, it's this little cobblestone road, and you go past all these old villas. And then it takes you onto the property. He's got a church, a saloon, and some of the doors for some of these buildings are 300-400 years old. They've come from all over Europe and India. He went to Mexico to study masonry, and he built this cool chapel that goes down into the grotto. It's just a really cool, tripped out place to see. When you're there, they do like weddings and events. You can stay there. They have rooms.
Nice.
But when you're on top of the roof of the kitchen, it's got this elaborate tile, but you have this amazing view of Enchanted Rock from his property.
Oh, that's dope.
So we went there in the afternoons because it was the best spot. Because there's not really a spot. You have to pay to get into the park. And once you're there, you're so close to Enchanted Rock, you can't really appreciate it. This is a great spot to go. And you have you can BYOB. They sell drinks there, beer and stuff. So you can go up on the rooftop and just sit in some chairs and just watch the sunset So anyway, we went out there. But that's what Corey was like, dude, you did such a great job, like taking us around to all these different cool places when we were down here. He's like, I'm just going to return the favor and do the same thing when we go to Sturgis. So he's like, I'll just be your guide. And, you can't, I don't know that you can put a price on that. It's so nice to be with somebody that's been there. It's nice to go to places where people have been there lots of times and they're like, oh, well, you need to do this, you need to do that. That was the cool thing with Texas Hills too, going down there all those times. Mikey's like, have you ever done this route? Have you done this? No.
Yeah.
What I liked about what Texas Hills did too, like, up to they were like posting all these like different roads
options.
And like bars to go to and stuff like that. That was cool. Like make your list prior to going.
Yeah. Well, and and so many of you guys have been to Sturgis. So everybody's going to have like all these cool. Oh, if you're riding that way, you need to go here.
Mm-hmm. Well, honestly, man, like I could show you a lot of cool stuff on the way to Sturgis, depending on which way you want to go. Because every year I like going a different way, and now I'm at a point now where I've done 35 north. Like the fastest route so many times that like I just want to get off the main road and go through these small little towns through Kansas and Nebraska.
That's me.
I've done it twice now. There's like a cool little steakhouse in Dodge City that I've gone to a few times. When I go to Woodward to work up at Covington's, that when I'm there, I was just saying this the other night on the podcast. When I'm there, I feel like I'm in Sturgis because it's the rolling hills of what like Rapid City's like.
Okay.
So technically, like most of Sturgis is not like mountains. It's like plains, but then you got the Black Hills where all of a sudden, you know, it just kind of jolts out of the ground, right?
Right.
So a lot of the areas, like all the main cities, are on the outside of the Black Hills, like Rapid City, Sturgis, Spearfish, and then you hit Wyoming. What's all around it? There's a little bit of hills and mountains protruding through the towns, but once you get outside of those towns, it's flat, you know, or rolling hills, right? And like Alliance, Nebraska, we've stayed there a couple times. There's a nice hotel right off the main road, and that town has fucking good bars, dude. Good bars.
That's cool. So
I don't know what my situation is going up this time, but I'm hoping that I can get a couple people and we can crash there and go party in that town. And then, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's still a 100-mile ride the next day to get there, which is, you know, big whoop. But Alliance, Nebraska, it's a good spot to go to, you know. And like I said, when you're just straight beelining up there, because I've done it to where we would go to Raton, go 25 north, and then cut through Wyoming, and that's way more scenic. You kind of, what is it? Like you get your dopamine rush way quicker because you see the mountains faster. But I don't know, there's something about going through these small towns, and it's crazy how far out you can be from Sturgis, and you stop in a gas station in some Hoduck town, and they're like, going to Sturgis? I'm like, yep. Seen a lot of you coming through here. Y'all have a good time. And it's like, fuck yeah, like that. Yeah. That feels good. And the closer you get to Sturgis, the more and more that happens, and it's like, I don't know, man. It's an amazing feeling.
That's going to be the weird thing too, is to just if you see a motorcycle, you're heading this, you've got a pretty good indication of where they're going. Yeah. And then the closer you get, the more you know you're going to see of them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, riding through last year, we went that Raton and head north, and I think basically from Colorado Springs through Denver, all the street signs are like, "Watch out for motorcycles. This is a busy time." Basically,
yeah. Awesome. Yeah, by the time you get close to the border, they start saying stuff like Sturgis and whatnot. Yeah. By the time you get to the Wyoming border, but this year, me and Chance, I don't know if Chance is going. I know Jacob. He just called me. We talked earlier. We're leaving Sturgis and going to do like Beartooth Pass again. Probably do Glacier National Park in Montana.
I'm envious of that. Have you ever done Going to the Sun? I know it's a little bit farther north.
What is that?
So it's in Montana. It's another one of the top 5 roads. It's called Going to the Sun.
Never heard of it.
And it's basically like a Beartooth Pass, but I don't know if it.
I look that up.
I can't. Yeah.
I'm hoping that we can squeeze. I don't know. Like I said, I'm going as a guest, and to be there from the 3rd to the 9th. I mean, this past year.
Oh, you got plenty of time.
Yeah. It's a long time. So that's why I'm like.
It's crazy. You're gonna see Sturgis like die down.
Yeah. Which
come Tuesday, it starts to.
Which I'm okay.
The locals start coming back out.
Right. There's guys that have gone before, and my friend Kevin. He would tell me, he's like, my personal best experience is I go for 2 weeks. So I go for a week of the party and the rally, and then a week either after or before where there's nobody there. And that way, that's when I do all my riding. So he's like, so I've seen videos, and it literally looks like people are like in a parade, doing 30 miles an hour, and it's as far as you can see in front of you and as far as you can see behind you.
The problem is, like, you're not going to get that on the back end of your trip. So the Thursday and Friday that you get there, you'll be more lucky to be able to ride Needles, Iron Mountain, and Spearfish than you will come the next week. Because a lot of people get there that weekend, and then they start partying, and then they start riding the next week.
Yeah, Monday, Tuesday.
Try to get those main roads in the first 2 days.
ASAP, yeah.
Because another thing, too, so I can't remember who told me this last year, but I noticed that, and I think I got there on Wednesday last year, the Wednesday before, and going back and forth between Deadwood and Sturgis, those first few days I didn't see very many cops. Yeah. But man, once Friday hit and Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, cops everywhere.
And I heard they don't play. I heard
no.
Not that I'm overly worried about it, but speeding tickets are, that's
well. They're like a not necessarily pay on the spot, but you're paying within the next day or two.
Yeah.
If you get a ticket on Thursday, you're expected in court on Friday.
Yeah, that's Oklahoma. We've gotten some tickets in Oklahoma, and it's the same way. Like, you have to be back here at the courthouse in Tahlequah.
72 hours.
But yeah, 72 hours. I'm like, I'm not driving 3. They're like, well, I was like, what happens if I'm not there? So I was like, so there's absolutely no way. Nope, you have to be here in court 72 hours. Okay. What happens if I'm not there? Well, it goes to warrant. And then I'm like, okay. So then can I pay it? And they're like, yeah. Then when it goes to warrant, then you can pay it. So they set it up so the ticket's just like double. Like it ends up doubling after that.
I still got a warrant in Oklahoma.
How long does that go for?
I don't know. I've had it since 16.
Since 2016?
Uh-huh.
I'm sure the statute of limitations is over now.
I'm sure that sounds like.
Was it speeding limit?
Yeah.
It's got to be over now.
Okay. Hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 7 or 8 years. 7.
I would think 7. In 7 years, I think that is.
Yeah.
So I won.
You did win. You did win. Yeah.
I get pulled over and go to jail on my way to Sturgis this year.
Yeah, right. But what someone told me was that they can't bring in state police help until the rally officially starts, which is Friday. So that's why that was the explanation of why all the sudden inflow of cops were that weekend versus the days before.
When I got my ticket the year with Steve Chamberlain, those guys up there, it's the only time I ever got a ticket there. The cop, I went around a car in, not even like, it was a 2-lane road, and I went around a car. But for some reason, the cop thought that I went in the other lane, like around a car through Deadwood. He pulled me over with his hand on his gun. I had no vest on. Nothing about me looked like I was in the club or whatnot.
Yeah. During Sturgis.
This dude was just like over the top, like it's his first time going to Sturgis, and everybody's he just watched Sons of Anarchy,
right,
and all that shit. So, I tried to tell, I was like, dude, what did I do? He's like, you went around that car and you went in the other lane. I'm like, it's a 2-lane. No, I went around a car. It's like, if anything, give me a speeding ticket for going faster than 35 miles an hour to go around this car.
Yeah.
He goes, no, saw you go around the thing. It's like, I didn't know how to fight this ticket, and it's his word against mine, and it ended up being like not a reckless, but a careless driving ticket, which those things suck on your for your insurance.
Oh, yeah.
So, 2019.
Wow.
Now you got to have that GoPro on all the time.
Your Honor.
Can I
GoPro clearly shows.
Hey, I'm a YouTube star now.
If you just go to my Instagram, you can check out the video evidence I have. Clearly vindicates me.
No, but I think Sturgis is one of those things where it's like I don't know. I get that everybody can't do Sturgis every year because it's one of those events. It's like SEMA. There's no way you can see all of SEMA in 1 week, right? And it's no way you can do everything Sturgis has to offer in a week. And honestly, every time you go back and when you try to do it differently, like maybe one year you're in a house, maybe one year you're camping, maybe one year you're doing it this way or with a different crowd, it becomes a different experience every time.
Right.
And it's like one of those things where I don't want to miss it because I just enjoy that aspect. I enjoy the fact that,
A little bit of FOMO.
Yeah, that's the only place I get FOMO on bike event. A little bit of Born Free, I get that, but other than that.
So I was actually looking, this morning, I was like having my morning coffee, and I was like, I wonder what days are the bike shows. And I tried looking it up, and you can't find that shit anywhere. So
You just got to follow the right pages and stuff for it.
So V-Twin, I think, is Monday, that first Monday.
I think Monday is the Hardcore Cycle Show and V-Twin. They're in different spots.
Both on that same day?
Yeah, because I think V-Twin does their show in Deadwood and Hardcore's at the same spot the FXR show is.
At the same time?
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, I'm not trying to talk shit, but the Hardcore show is it's set up better. Like it means more win that show.
Is it?
Or to be at that show.
Yeah. I'd seen guys complain about that before, but, that there would be multiple shows, different areas, same time, but.
Because V-Twin does a couple, they do a Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday show. But they're like different categories, and it's kind of hard.
That's why I always tell people Sturgis is not the place to go to bike shows.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a good place to go to shows to talk to people, but
I'd say you'd have to pick the.
They're not shows that they're going to get you the attention like a Born Free show or being invited to Mama Tried or these other shows where there's much more of a focus on the show itself rather than the whole event.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like the FXR show. I love it. It's dope as hell. It's definitely one of the best show for FXRs. But without having, like, you can't win the FXR show, right? You just win the pick of the person, which I think is a dope thing to do.
Yes.
Because making it to where it's a first, second, and third is something that you have to actually put a lot of work into that to, like, create a panel of judges to go through these bikes meticulously and weigh the options of who won this thing.
Right.
You know, and a lot of shows, like, they start out and they end up going to this other model because it gets overwhelming when you have these bikes that are all, you know, last year, like, I'm at the FXR show and I'm supposed to be one of the judges to give away my own award, and I got Jetty's build over here, I got Corey's build that just got finished, and there's actually bikes I didn't even know about that I love, and I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to be here. I just want to shake everybody's hand and have a good time, you know?
Well, I'm excited to see that one. Just the level of bikes that are going to be there, especially that particular model.
So, what sucks too, like, man, like with your Softail that's coming out. You know, Wynn and Scott both are building some killer Softails out of Covington's. Man, there's just not a show that really shines light on the Softails yet. Because, like, the FXR show does have a class for those bikes, but it's like, it's kind of like nobody remembers the Dyna that won it. I guess it was Jetty's, but but you know what I'm saying? It's like nobody wins the Dyna that won at the FXR show, right? And Hardcore show in Sturgis is still getting its legs. The Hardcore show in Daytona is the one, right? It's badass.
For sure.
It's huge. But I've heard that it's you know, they're still trying to gain legs at Sturgis with, like, attendance and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm not trying to be the one. I'm not trying to talk shit in here. I'm just trying to illuminate the situation that I don't feel like there's a show that's really become the say-all, be-all of a custom bike and the level that someone's putting into a bike to get the attention it deserves at a show at Sturgis yet.
It'll be interesting to see. I have nothing to compare it to, you know. So, and there's so many bikes in between choppers and baggers, and the performance scene, FXR crowd. There's so many different genres that are being represented at all these different shows. It would seem like it would be really tough to. Yeah, because is there even one in Sturgis for, like, how do they categorize, like, anything that's on the performance segment?
Well, so there's still, like, the Pearwitz Paint show is still there. That's a pretty good show to go to. That's usually like Wednesday, I believe, at like the Iron Horse Saloon. It's like right there at Lozelle in Maine. That's a pretty good show to go to. There used to be the Little Evil show. That was a good performance bike show, but I think it got taken over by Torque Magazine. And where's that? There's not. That's kind of why I've been hinting at, like, really wanting to create a show in Sturgis.
Yeah. Do in like the FXR show and the Hardcore show, are they at Buffalo Chip or were they at? Or at Buffalo
Same
Chip?
spot in that little canopy thing.
That's what I thought. I didn't go last year because I didn't make it, but yeah.
No, they're both great shows to go to. You said you went to the Beach Wind show last year and had some kind of weird situation going on to get in or something like that?
Well, no. So I went on the Wednesday show, which I think we got, like, kind of crossed on what days were what, but apparently the Wednesday was actually only a invited only thing. So I, like, pulled up and Jeff, like, let me in right away. He's like, yeah, come on right in, you know. So I had no problem getting in, but yeah, like, quickly after that, I realized it was supposed to be, like, invited only. So and I think you know, because they didn't invite Jetty's bike, so he was already on his way home at that point. So they were all like, "WTF? Like, how'd you get in here?" I'm like, "I just pulled up."
What's that dude? That Beetlejuice looking motherfucker that's they've been using him on memes a lot lately.
Beetlejuice.
Is that what his name
Yeah,
is?
from Howard Stern.
Is that it?
The,
Okay.
the little black dude.
What are you
Little-
doing? He's like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, just hanging out. Just hanging out. That's Jake.
That was me for sure.
Am I supposed to be here?
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna. I don't know. That's something I've been wanting to do. I got a lot of ideas to do a show, and I think I got ideas of ways to create something a little bit more prestigious. And I just need to get some. I don't want to spend any money though. That's the problem. Like,
Right. No.
like I want to do the. I'll do the work, but I'm not fucking paying money to go do the work.
Yeah.
Right.
You,
know
don't
what
want to
I'm
do
saying?
what Mark and Mel are doing, where they're putting a lot of shit out of their own pocket.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't have anything in my
Yeah.
pocket. So,
All right. And I love what Mel and Mark are doing. I'm
Oh,
just
yeah,
saying,
for
like,
sure.
but it's like, why do that out of your own pocket?
and I wouldn't call it like I wouldn't go to Sturgis and call it, hey, the Fast Life Bike Show.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Yeah.
do that. I would create something that would. I want to create something that would be, like I want to make it important to win, and or I want to make it to where you. Like, it's going to be judged by people that are going to go through these bikes and really say, like, look, if you want to build a show bike, it's going to be this.
Like more
Right.
like, what haven't you done versus what have you done?
Yeah, I mean, put it like this: like there's when you build a show bike, right? There's obviously how much have you touched and changed, and then there's stand back. Does it look good?
Right.
Right? Because there's always that, like, like lowrider shows will do this shit. They'd have a point system.
Yep.
And okay, you did the hood's up, you did under the hood, you did this, you did wires, you did this, blah blah blah, murals here, blah blah blah. But then you look at the grand picture and it doesn't look good. So ultimately, you need to be able to judge it by, okay, well, someone paid more attention to detail on this build, and then standing back. And that's where that's where it's hard, right? Because I can take a paint job on a black frame bike and make it look better from standing back, but someone can go make a bike look so tits up close. Obviously, they spent more money, but they forgot standing back.
Right.
How does it look all together?
Right.
Yeah.
To me, that's the thing that I think that has just kind of lost its way with things. It's like they want to have the best bike and blah blah blah, so they just fucking buy everything and do all this, but then they never fucking think about stepping back and seeing how this puzzle looks together when you put it back together, and it's got to look good, man.
Yeah.
It's got to look good when you're walking up on it. It's got to capture you. And I think that it needs to be something like that so that you can say, I won Sturgis with this Softail build.
Yeah.
This painter painted the baddest, bike in Sturgis based on the show. And it needs to mean something, I don't know. I'm putting my name in the hat. I want to make it happen. Hopefully some people will hear about it and they'll say, hey, we got opportunity. We got places to do it.
I would say, where would you want to do it at?
I don't think it really matters where you do it. I think it matters that you just have the freedom to work with somebody that's going to give you the space that you need to do it, because I'm not into putting bikes crammed together.
For sure.
Because I feel like bikes need to be able to be viewed from a distance in the sense of seeing the spectrum.
What would be awesome is if Harley would lean in and do it where they do the stunt show. They're kind of
At Buffalo Chip?
No, it's
On
not
the
Main Street, but Lozelle, but
Yeah.
right there on that north side of Lozelle.
Yeah.
Because that's a gigantic space, ton of people right through there. That'd be a great spot, but I don't know if Harley will do that.
Well,
They'll use the
you got
V-twin.
you got to deal with the Sturgis Mafia.
Well, true.
So Sturgis, anything that happens in Sturgis has a tax on it. So that's why a lot of people go to Deadwood and these other towns, and whatnot. So, I mean, it could be something that has to happen at like Black Hills Harley. I have more of a connection to make something happen there than anything.
And there would be a ton of people there too. So
Yeah.
like that'd be a great spot actually.
I don't know. We were Clockworks and I were talking about something a couple of years ago about doing something there, but it just never happened.
And didn't they just get bought out by somebody? I think I saw that
I'm not
somewhere.
sure.
Anyway.
Black Hills Harley is a good stop though, in Rapid City.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that's the place to go spend money, because all the vendors that are there, they got shit in stock. If you've been waiting on an HPI pipe for a long time, there's going to be one there.
Although they didn't go last year.
Oh, they didn't go
No,
last year.
and
That's
I
right.
I'll bet they don't go this year too. I don't know. We'll see.
No, Black Hills is a good stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's, Thunder Max, all the guys are there. They're usually set up down there. Yeah. And then all the dealerships has like discounted Harley shit.
Is that where D&D sets
Yeah.
up? And,
Yep.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that's a big spot. I mean,
Amber Alert. Which, by the way, in Texas Hills, how many Amber Alerts did you guys get?
oh man,
I had a lot.
I don't remember.
What's up with child abductions in San Antonio area?
I don't know. We'll find out when Mel Gibson's documentary comes out. I was watching a little bit of that. Some 4-part documentary he's got coming out on child sex trafficking. So it's a $34 billion a year industry.
So that many creeps, huh?
Yeah, there's a lot of diddlers out there, dude.
Wow.
Back to Sturgis. I mean, you almost can't put it in words. I'm excited to hear after you get back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I really am.
For so long, it is something that I was like, it just wasn't in the cards for me to go.
Yeah.
You get X amount of time off. Most of that I'm going to spend with my wife or my family or my kids.
But your kids are all old now.
Doesn't mean I still don't want to hang. Look, I got fortunate that they still want to hang out with me.
Okay.
So yeah, I still got to make time for them. And then, but
Do they ride? Do they want to go to Sturgis? Why do they need to make it like
no, no, they have no interest. They have no. I've talked to about it with my son. And I think the romance of it sounds cool, but the practicality of it, because I tried to take him to a campout one year after I drove him there to just so he could just see what it's, and he's like, that's just kind of your thing, Dad.
That's a good PC way
It's
to
like
put
the
it.
worst feeling in the world.
Yeah. And he's just so polar opposite.
Can we talk about how kids suck for a minute?
Yeah.
So it's like they're supposed to, you love this little motherfucker so much. You want to be best friends with him, but he likes nothing that you like.
Mm-hmm.
But you still have to fucking pay for everything that he has. You still got to like everything he does. You can't be like, well, that sucks. Dude, fuck your game, dude.
Yeah.
Like my shit.
It's funny to see the similarities between my son at your son's age.
Okay.
So my son and your son were very similar. When I see just how their personalities, so it's why it's so wild to see where my son is now and how he is now as an adult. Because I was like, and me and my wife both like, you were an asshole when you were a kid. You were just such a pain in my ass.
Yeah.
And you have to you're trying to bond with them, right? And you see all these dads are like, oh, my son goes fishing with me and we go hunting together and my kid could care less. Didn't want to work in the garage, didn't want to anything I wanted to do.
How cool of a dad are we though? Like, think about it. Like, I feel like we're into cool shit.
I had a daughter, that
My daughter thinks I'm cool as shit.
Exactly. I had a daughter that validated that. My daughter's like, whatever you're doing, I'm into it. I'll get on the back. We can go ride motorcycles all day long, wherever you want to go. And my son, just not interested. I remember asking him to ride on the back, and he was getting at that age where it was like, he was like, no. No, we're not going to be two guys on a motorcycle.
Well, my son still wants to ride with me, but he's taller than me now, so I can't fucking do that.
At least he wants to ride with you, though. Like mine.
I always tell my son, like, when he comes over every weekend, it's like, look, man, like, I don't have the money to turn every other weekend into like Disney World experience. Yeah. Like, this isn't reality. You know what I'm saying?
You're not. Well, you don't want to do that anyway. I mean, this is.
We talk though, like that. The thing is that like my son, he communicates with me and tells me things, and I'm very thankful for that. Like the fact that he opens up and lets me know things. Like
That's
when I was
awesome.
in Oklahoma, he told me, we've always connected on the comic book movies, and he's kind of transitioning out of like the childy things and getting more into the girls and shit like that.
Awesome.
So he's like, he went to go see the new Spider-Verse movie, and he's like, Dad, it's one of the best ones ever. And I went with my girlfriend and she kissed me. I'm like, hell yeah. He goes, and it felt good. And I'm like, it's supposed to, buddy. It's supposed to.
I think I felt my penis twitch.
What is this, Dad? Bro, I don't want to get into it.
Well,
There's two. Mel Gibson just made a whole documentary about that. I'm not talking about any of this shit. You go do sex ed through YouTube or some shit.
Yeah, he that was our connection with my son. It was video games, which I quit playing video games when he was born. I would do it to with him, and that's how we would kind of hang out. But then it's like, I just kind of outgrew it, and he's growing into it. And of course, games changed too. Now everything was online. He's got his little buddies to play with. I don't want to sit on a console and have some 12-year-old roast me for 3 hours while I'm trying to do, So, but comic books and Star Wars, things like nerd stuff that I was into when I was his age. And so we always have that. Like, we still talk about that now.
Well, I was at Corey's yesterday. We were talking about that, how our circle is full of more people who don't have kids, all in their 30s. Mm-hmm. Don't have kids and don't intend to have kids. Mm-hmm. And you don't intend? What's y'all's thought on like why you do or don't want to have kids?
I mean, it's to be honest with you, it's like hanging around with other people and they're like little kids, and like that's like the biggest birth control ever, being like, fuck this. I mean, we just love to travel a lot, and we realize like our lifestyle would have to change drastically, and
it does. I mean, it's look, it's not for everybody, and I commend the people that can make that decision.
Is that a fucking storm again?
Yeah.
Damn. Every day in Dallas.
Every day.
Feels like Florida here.
I know. But I commend the people that have.
Does anyone want a beer too, by the way?
Trying to keep this at a 2.5 hour podcast.
No, but my hat's off to the people that are making the conscious decision. That's okay.
Yeah.
I still, my firm belief is that we were put here to propagate. We're no different than any other living organism. So that's just my. And
someone's out there having more kids than they need to, and they're.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should, and that's unfortunately that is the case. Right? Like having a child is not to me it's not right. But
when I told Corey yesterday, I was like, well, I wouldn't I love my kids 100%. Let me preface this. All right. With that being said, there's no way in hell I would have had a kid consciously, you want to have a baby? Let's have a baby.
I did.
Dude, my kids are out of fucking oh no, she's gonna leave me. Blow a load in her. That's insecure me in my 20s.
That normally is the other way around.
Oh, dude. Well, that.
Lee's like, let me lock this one down.
No, it was. Well, I don't know, man. I just feel like young and dumb on the first one, my daughter. But what's crazy growing up with her. Like I said, that growing up with her is we were so close. Like the 90s and the 2000s are very similar.
Yeah,
sure.
2010s to now, not the same.
No, totally different.
Not the same. No. So me and my daughter were able to connect on the same music. We have a lot of musical taste together. My son, he's coming around, but he's also into house music, and I'm trying to listen to that. I'm like, all right, dude, I get it, or whatever. But it's just difficult, and then going through all the shit that I had to deal with their parents, and I'm cool with both the parents, but it's one of those situations where it's I see it clearly, hey, isn't the goal for us both to have our shit together so that we can provide a better life for our kid?
Yep.
But every time something good happens to me, you want to take me back to court to try to get more money for child support?
Yeah.
It's how much money does this little motherfucker need?
Yeah.
It's
yeah. I think that's the
when it's a joint custody.
Yeah. Yeah. That part of it is the super gross part. That's the one.
No, what sucks about it is that you have this. I have this payment that goes out that pays for everything that she does for him. That pays for it, and then when he comes over here, it's hey, Dad, let's go do the movie. So it's I have a paycheck that I put out that goes. I don't even get to see him enjoy that. And then when he comes over, I have to spend more money. So my monthly nut to pay this bill of a kid, which sucks to say it that way.
It does suck.
Yeah.
It's not the child support. It's all this because I don't want him to come over and think that I don't care about him and I'm not going to take him to movies and dinner and go buy him a pair of shoes, any of this shit, because I don't want to think I'm a deadbeat.
Right.
Because his mom's your dad gave you this.
Yeah.
What's the Kanye song? She's supposed to go buy
Gold digger?
Tyco with your money, but she went and bought Lyco with your or Lipo with your money.
Yeah.
That
Unfortunately,
sucks.
yeah, I mean,
And my son's last name is hyphenated, so I'm trying to compete with the fact that hopefully he'll choose my name as an adult over his mom's. But it'll probably go the other way, you know.
Yeah.
So as we say, I'll go fuck myself. All this money.
And how old is he now?
He's 13.
13. Okay.
Yeah, he's at the house right now.
Yeah. Well,
I've been trying to get him to come up here and work. He was up here earlier today, and he'll come and do something, but then he just retreats as soon as he can. And man, it's like when you don't like if he lived with me every day, I'd be a lot harder on him. But because I only see him X amount of time.
Yeah, that's what sucks is, dude, I only get X amount of time with you, and I don't want to spend it disciplining you all the time.
Yeah.
And Stephanie, I would argue, she's like, you got to do something about him. Like, this is a real fucking problem. And I'm like, it just bummed me out. So now it's like now I'm fighting with my wife over, because you've got this limited time and you just don't want to spend it being you need to.
Yeah,
you
100%.
need to. And look, it was a struggle. I'll never regret having children.
I'm so glad your son, I'm hoping my son might take the same path because the military can discipline him.
Dude, Stephanie and I, when we saw him at graduation, first of all, could not believe that this is the path he was going.
Yeah.
I knew he told us what his intentions were with enlisting. He had a really good teacher in his dual credit program when he was in high school. So he was on a good path. He's a sharp kid. It's this, wasn't unruly or anything like that. But so we knew he was going to the military, but he got this girlfriend. And, she was a family of Marines. Mom was a Marine, dad was a Marine, grandparents were Marines. So it was like, he's like, I'm going to be a Marine. And I'm like, oh, of course you are. Sure. And, Stephanie's like, yeah, we're both like, it's, his girlfriend's going and sure, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. But, when I talked to him about it, he cracked me up. He's like, look, I want to challenge, and he's always been physically active. Like this kid his mom was a yoga instructor. He always went to the gym with her, spent copious, the gym was his daycare, always worked out, always ran, very physically fit. So he's like, I want to test not just my physical prowess, but also my mental prowess. And I feel like I'm going to get the best with that in the Marines. So I was like, you're just going because Nia's going, right? And he's like, no. Like, I really want to see who I am. I want to find out who I am. Because I feel like I've just been like my mom's kid. She's had this unrelenting control over me most of my life.
The crazy thing about kids, too, sometimes they surprise you with, like, wisdom that
he
you're
still
like,
does.
What the fuck, dude? I thought you were still playing with Legos.
Right. I was like, all those, like, where's this coming from? Because I could, we couldn't get you out of your room or away from your game or a tablet or whatever. Yeah. And now he doesn't even touch that stuff. Got rid of all of his console. Like, when he went and enlisted and left, he left everything. He got rid of everything. He's like, yeah, I don't play video games anymore. And it's just unreal, the change. So I think you'll be surprised at the change you're going to see when he starts hitting that age, 16, 17, 18, right around that age. I think you're going to be really surprised at the person.
Well, I think having, like, when him going down and, like, pursuing the girlfriend path stuff might... Because I've dealt with it with my daughter. My daughter was like, I had to have a boyfriend. Sure, there's going to be a coming to Jesus moment in my later years where I got to go to some therapy session with my daughter because something, daddy issues or some shit like that, right? But, my son, like, when he started, like, having a girlfriend, like, it seemed like he started communicating more. Like, he needed to talk to a guy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
And so, yeah, I'm just, I don't want to make him feel uncomfortable by anything he says to me. But also, like, I want him to fucking, I don't know, man. Like, I know, I guess I don't have a lot of faith in him because I don't understand. I just, we live life in comparison. We compare everything in the world to what we experience, and that's how we judge things, based on our own experience versus what we see and feel. And so with him, I'm just like always like, man, like I wish I had the perspective. I wish I could say with my brother, having him like the perspective of like what you could start doing now that will help you out later versus what you're doing now.
Right.
When you have all this time in the world and energy.
Yes.
You know, like I was telling Matt, dude, I've been here all day. I went home and took a fucking 45-minute nap before we did this podcast, and I had to drink a Red Bull and a Monster and slap myself 3 times to be ready to do this right now. I'm so fucking
himself a pep talk.
dude. I'm so fucking out of it right now. It's been nonstop for fucking a month and a half, 2 months.
Yeah.
And I'm not complaining, but I'm fucking complaining.
Yeah.
Well,
You know?
these are as far as kids, these are they're all good. You, for instance, when you can teach work ethic. So what your kids see is work ethic.
Yeah.
You know, that's what they see. They see
And the hustle,
and
like
the hustle.
or the,
you know,
the goals. That's the big thing.
Goals.
That's
Yeah.
the goals.
goals and
That's what
and
I hope they see.
and when you don't pamper them or spoil them, and when they're appreciative, you're like, hey, look, yeah, I'd love to have that, but I don't, that's a lot of money. I don't, where it's like if you have a kid that's like, they don't care how much it costs, they want it, and it's your job to get it, like then that, to me, that's a fucking problem.
Oh, yeah.
But when your kid recognizes or appreciates your hard work, knows how hard you work to make sure that they're taken care of, and that you're just there for them, available, not even financially, but just emotionally and physically available for them, they appreciate that. And what I've noticed, especially with kids, just being around a lot of young people in that
Yeah, dude,
17, 18, 19, 20-year-old range, they like that. They like to see that. They like to see people that emulate what they're telling them. You're not just talking shit. You're living it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
Hey guys, you want a lot of followers but no money in your bank account? I got a fucking plan for you. Follow me to mental success.
My 5-step process right here.
well, like I said, Corey and I have talked about this. Just like we talked about last podcast. Whatever you set your mind to, you do it. You will find a way. And like I said, you'll make those comments like, "What do you mean you don't have anything to do? You could be learning some shit right now. There's always something to do."
Yeah.
I think that's amazing for like I said, for your kids to see.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna be pleasantly surprised. So your daughter hasn't lived down.
Yeah.
She's going to college and
She went to college for 10 weeks.
Yeah. What's she doing now?
Dude, she works in a call center, bro. Calm down. Not that proud right now. What sucks is like, so my daughter, where she's at in her age and where she's at in her life, I really want to be more involved in helping her. But she's also living in Oklahoma. And she's at a point now where like a lot of things that I feel like she planned to be her say all be all for career hasn't panned out. And I don't really know what that's like for a woman, right? I don't know what that's like. As a man, like it's easier to be like, hey, dude, your idea of being an accountant didn't work out. Well, here, let me show you how to sand this part. I'll show you how to fucking have a skill that you'll make money at for the rest of your life.
Trades, yeah, exactly.
Right? But I don't know that that works for a woman, and I don't, I'm trying to be more delicate with that. You know what I mean? At the same time,
I think it does. I think it does.
I think it can. There are. You look at Ray Ripple, for example.
Yeah.
You look at there's a couple on there. There's a couple out there that do like heavy machinery, mechanic work, and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that, and maybe she's like totally against that type of stuff, but I think there's a space for a woman to take on a trade and just like excel,
for sure
and like especially if you latch on the social media side of it, it's like even more.
Well, 100%. Like if I don't think that I haven't thought about pimping out my daughter, who is bicultural.
Right?
She checks all the boxes, dude. I'm getting a Harley, dude. Harley's finally going to know about the fast life with my daughter. But no, it's not the point is like the hardest thing about like, to me, I can go to bike night and I can give you a spill on an idea and maybe give you inspiration. Give many men inspiration through listening to some of the shit that I say, right? But how do you inspire someone who's at an age where they don't have any of the experiences that my inspiration comes from?
look, she's at an age, and I tell all my students this all the time, because I have because people are like, oh, well, your students that, take your class, your program, they know what they want to do. They probably love working on cars. I'm like, no, I have just as many that this sounds cool.
Yeah.
This is better than than a host of other things I could be doing.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to, and they're just as uninterested as most college students are. And I tell them, like, it's okay. Look, you are at a facility. We have 30 plus occupations that you can spend. You can take a class with each one. You're throwing darts. And at the end of it, there's very little expense at our facility.
For that community college.
Yeah,
setting.
for our setting, it's very little. I mean, you're talking an associate's degree for, if you're in district, less than $6,000.
Yeah.
So, an individual class, 125, 130, maybe 150 with books. So throw darts. And I tell them that all the time. I'm like, if you don't find this enjoyable, if you don't find what I'm showing you enjoyable, or another professor, go to another building, go talk to another counselor, and throw darts.
What I have now at my age right now, I don't have time, right?
Yeah.
But I have the will to want to learn stuff. So like all these other things, like video editing, these other programs that I don't really know them that well, but I understand like the basics, and I want to know more. Dude, I'm on not Craigslist, not Backpages, but like I'm on like Facebook trying to find people that are close to me that know how to do things, that I'll pay them 150, 200, whatever their fee is, to come out and teach me shit. And to me, it's like, I know how to do Photoshop. I know a little bit of Illustrator. I know Premiere Pro, which is what a lot of the video editing is on. But I don't know everything. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so I use YouTube a lot. Like last night, me and my wife went to dinner. We had a great night. I'm laying in bed. I'm watching video tutorials on YouTube how to make animations of like maps. Like, so today I left fucking Dallas and I landed in Amarillo. And how do I make an animation to go from here to there? And I watched probably 3 hours of different videos and different ways of doing it. Mm-hmm. And so I'm at an age where, like, because I have a problem to solve, I'm looking for information. And I think as kids, they don't have a problem to solve, so the information they're receiving doesn't resonate.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because the life experience gives you a problem to solve, gives you the experience or gives you what I need to know, how I need to solve this problem, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like this weird thing that goes on where you're trying to find a way to connect with kids and show them a way. Because the biggest problem they have is, what am I going to do for the rest of my life that's going to give me what I want, happiness? But then you don't want to tell them what life is really like, because then the suicide rate would go up, right?
It can be pretty soul crushing. Mm-hmm.
It is. But you want to tell them like it's this journey that constantly changes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And maybe not changes from different careers. It might, but there's doors that might open that you never knew were there because you were focused on this sliver of this bigger industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just a crazy thing. And
everybody's pathway is so different.
It's like you're still in the same career, but you're doing a different part of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
you
could go from painting, podcast, photography, but it's still motorcycle related.
It's still, I still feed the beast, right? So, the motorcycle.
No.
I'm addicted.
Well, when I explain this, because I have to let students know, look, this is just where it starts. Like, you're not locked into just working in a shop fixing cars. This is all the different avenues that you could pursue with this. You guys have what most of us didn't have, which is you have social media outlets. So you can literally, like Blue Collar Kyle. You familiar with him, Matt?
I've seen a couple
Okay.
of his videos.
I mean, look, and I'll talk about, you and what you've done. And they're like, really? All just from like painting cars? Like learning how to paint? I'm like, yeah, like essentially. So
lots of followers, no money.
Wow.
Get like me, player. Come in there and swipe, like pat everybody down.
I think what's wild is their attachment or their association with financial gain, they care more about time off. like what they get to pursue on their own. And if they can do it in a way where it pays them, I think that's why you see TikTok doing so well, or a lot of YouTube channels doing so well, because these people are literally just living their lives until it becomes a business.
That's the smoke and mirrors, though, of like content creation, is that you're not necessarily getting more time off. Like, my overwhelmedness right now is because of content creation. If I was just painting a bike and getting it together to go to Sturgis or go to Born Free, my life would be fine right now. But it was like, all right, I got a video. I mean, Matt's been here a lot while we've been videoing these processes, and it adds time to it. And then it adds like the time at home. Like, you know, I was thinking tonight before I fell asleep earlier and had a nap in the middle of the day as an old man. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this podcast. I'm not going to get fucked up. And I'm going to go home and start editing in the video that I recorded yesterday at Corey's house. And I'm trying to do the Corey video, finish putting together the ST, and then put a video out before I leave on Thursday. On top of, like, I have 3 podcasts I got to release this week because I'm going to be gone for the next 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, it doesn't fucking end. You know what I mean? But the life that I want is on the other side of this hill.
Yeah.
So if I don't do this shit, you know, if I don't strike the iron while it's hot, basically, I don't, like, this doesn't happen. Like, my YouTube dreams, if you will, is this summer. It's the trip to Born Free. It's these 2 builds, the FXR tour, the Softail, and the trips associated with it. If I can't, over this next 7 months, turn all this content into something viable that I can lean into next year,
right,
then that domino affects the other plans I wanted to put on top of this. So I tell my wife, I tell all my friends, I'm running 3 careers right now, 40 hours a week on 3 different jobs to try to make all this work so that it becomes everything I want to be later on. Mm-hmm. So it's like, don't get me wrong, a lot of the things on my ST, I didn't pay for, but I've also put, how many podcast episodes have I put out? 320 something.
Right. How
many hours have I done this? Like, It's not like I just started getting free shit from my bike because I got followers on Instagram. No. These are obligations. That's work down there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When they give you a part, they give you a headlight that I could have bought. I got to work for that. I got to I got to go take pictures of this fucking bike.
Yeah, because they want they want the exposure. You know?
Just.
Well, look, I make sure they understand that part, right? Yeah. I'm like, look, I can make this sound smart, but the dude still works. I mean, like, look, gathering content, and they know they're savvy enough to know that that 45-second video that could have been 3, 4, 5. That could have been a whole day of editing,
Oh yeah.
But. For some of them, it's up their alley, and for others, they
I think it's a part of like it's going to be a necessity now.
Yeah,
I think that like the way we grew up with bike shops and brands, the way we've all grown up with, you have to have a YouTube channel now. Mm-hmm. You have to have a media guy following you around with a camera and video and everything you're doing and editing it and putting out this content. Like, it's the new social media, and it's so much work. But it's the new norm.
Yeah. I mean, that's what most of the graphic arts department at the college, I mean, that's what they spend the vast majority of their time doing.
Yeah, but the thing is, these kids got, like, I told my son, my daughter, it's like, they're too young, they're too fragile. But I'm like, look, dude, straight up, if you just learn how to edit, I told Jaden this, learn how to edit video. Take it on yourself. The same mentality that I have. Just figure it the fuck out on yourself. You can make so much money, like, on the side, and as the side hustle grows, the side hustle becomes the fucking day-to-day job.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I started custom painting on the side. It turned into a day job.
Right.
The podcast on the side, now it's a day job. It's like, perspective is one thing you don't have when you're a kid, and if you had that, I think that, like, if you had it, then we'd all be fucked. Straight up.
Yeah.
Because they'd have the energy, the fucking everything that we don't have, right? At 40 years old, right? How old are you, 35?
I'm 38.
Okay. He's a good 38.
Yeah, he is a good 38. Man, fuck. Motherfucker. I would have stumbled on that too. Like, how old's Jake? I'm like, 35?
He probably doesn't remember when Tupac died.
I do. And hold on. I have a funny story about that because my aunt is like ultra Christian, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember like coming home and my aunt was at the house. I was like, oh my gosh, did you hear like Tupac died? And she's like, yeah, I heard that. And like just this like, you know who Tupac is? Like you shouldn't like listen to Tupac type of thing.
she was gatekeeping for you.
Yeah. I remember I had a talk with my dad whenever Tupac died, and I said, man, Tupac died today. This is the difference between, like, when I think about my relationship with my dad and the way I communicate with him and the way, because when he said, he's like, who, you know, my dad was a lazy racist.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like most white people were back in the 90s and 80s, right?
Sure.
They didn't really hate black people, but when they had an opportunity to hate them, they did. It's lazy, right? You know, he said what he said, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, you know, it's kind of like whenever Elvis died for certain people. And he was like, oh, okay. And I think that fucked him up because he didn't think I knew about the Elvis thing.
Right.
You know, I'm like, well, and, you know, I knew my dad loved a lot of old rock, like, you know, Joplin, fucking Hendrix and all that stuff. It's like, it's the same thing. It's like,
Right.
And I said, when I told him it's Forever 27, even though he died at 25, I was like, yeah, he didn't make the Forever 27, but he died at 25, but his legacy will live a long time. And it did. It has.
Yeah.
And I think it fucked up my dad. And he's like, oh, shit, what does he know about the Forever 27?
Have you watched the latest Tupac documentary?
No, it's on Hulu, right?
Yes.
I want to check that out.
Dude, I didn't realize. So they go into pretty graphic detail about.
Him raping people?
No. No. So.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, exactly.
Actually, they do go into that story, and look, I think he was extremely talented young man. I think he was radicalized at a very young age.
Yeah.
I also think he probably suffered from a little bit of mental illness. I also have to wonder, based on the amount of weed that the dude was smoking, if he didn't have some type of psychosis brought on by that. But the part that I found most interesting was that first shooting, he loses. He shot himself in the dick. So so he went to get his Glock. This is what they're explaining in the documentary.
In the hotel?
Yes.
Like,
spoiler alert. No, when he's in the elevator.
To go up
To go up to where Biggie
and all
was,
that.
right?
Yeah.
So he's going up, and I guess that's when the robbery happens. Well, he goes to get the Glock, and I guess the story is he pulled the trigger. There's no safety on the Glock, and blasted off his junk. And
What?
then, and then they go over the specifics when he was killed, like all the wounds that he suffered. This is a documentary his mother put together. It's
watch it.
It's intense. It's I can't remember, 7 parts or something like that. It's really good. It's done really well. It's his aunt, his mom. They go into great. It's the best Tupac documentary that's been out there. It's not all. They go into the real shit. That he wasn't perfect, but he wasn't imperfect either. But that's what I took away from it. The mentally ill. I have to wonder about some psychosis that was brought on from.
Yeah, I mean, dude, he was 25.
Yeah.
And the music,
as a lyricist, holy shit.
Well, all that time he spent locked up, he just wrote and wrote and wrote. I mean, he was always writing.
Yeah.
Extremely talented.
You shoved that life into a 10-year period of what he's basically speaking on, 15 to 25. Like when a 25-year-old talks to me right now, I side eye. I'm like, calm down.
Yeah.
You don't know struggle yet, motherfucker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Of course, if I'm watching this knowing that, he's 22, he's 23 when he's, making these statements or doing these things. And, it seems like somebody that's a lot older, but, he was forced to grow up, If you look at what his childhood was like.
How old was he when he was murdered?
25.
Was he really?
25 years
Holy
old.
Shit.
Yeah.
Didn't Amy Winehouse hit 27? She made it to 27 when she died, I think. She's on the Forever 27.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There's a documentary of her coming out that I'm pretty stoked about seeing.
Huge fan of her music.
Dude, love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
And it's so wild because, if I go to Starbucks, you'll see the girls with a little Amy Winehouse wingtip.
Yeah. They try to make me go to rehab. I said no. That shit. She sparked the entire what is it? Rockabilly movement with chicks, the pinup chicks. I feel like she did. Her and Kat Von D are the two people that made that happen in the 2000s.
That's a different style of rockabilly.
Yeah, that's tough. She's more like a UK
it's
60s.
You gotta understand, like it was the fact that it came from two different areas of art to culture. Like you had Amy Winehouse making badass music that spoke to women and gave them like an alternative direction of identity. And then you also had Kat Von D artistically doing it from that area. And then the whole art boom of the late 2000s, like people, like artists, like art became a job like you could make money on. It was a joke in the 90s. Oh, you need an art degree? It was like kind of like what is the degree now that's like a joke? It's like a human resources or a fucking
communications or something. Yeah.
Something like that. Like
I mean, if you're going to be
Egypt, Scientology or some shit.
No, if you're going to be a gender studies major.
Gender studies major, yeah. But, dude, I feel like a lot of that had, I mean, almost every chick that was at a certain age group, a certain age range, leaned into that whole Winehouse rockabilly style.
I mean, she was just she was like a goth Alanis Morissette.
Not wrong.
I love it.
Not wrong.
I love
I
it.
think it was more just the rebellious act.
Yeah, it's a rebellious act. It's like
Yeah.
this chick's talking about drinking and her problems. Yeah. One of my favorite songs she has is called "Fuck Me Pumps," I think is what it is, or that's probably not the name, but that's the concept. It's talking about the chick that goes to the bar for the rest of her life. She's got to put her "fuck me" heels on to go to the bar, and hopefully continue to get the attention. And it talks about it was great music, man. Honestly,
She's
It was
amazing.
like more real, everyday kind of thing.
She was an amazing artist. I mean, incredible singer. I'd love to see the documentary. I want to see her creative process. I'm always fascinated with singers, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, do you just come up with this tune in your head and the band's just trying to plug in
when you
the
find out
gaps
that some singer like is just singing something that was given to them, do you lose respect for them? I do.
Oh, really?
When
if
they buy
didn't
the song?
create it, if
Like
they
a
didn't
ghostwriter and stuff.
Yeah,
like
ghostwriter shit.
Oh, nah, that doesn't
I
bother
don't lose respect for them like the song sucks now.
Yeah.
I lose, like, I don't look at them as an artist. Sounds pretentious, but as somebody that creates ideas and shit like that.
Right.
When I see somebody that just takes something and uses, they're actors at that point, right?
I'm okay with it. Look, Tanya Tucker didn't sing a lot of her songs. She sang songs that other people wrote, but she, look, there's a lot of songs that Willie Nelson has written that, look, it's better when Chris Christopherson sings it or when Tanya Tucker sings it. Like, it's better. It's just better. It's his creation, it's his baby, but it's
Yeah,
that
there's the whole
voice.
situation with Elton John. Didn't he have a writer that wrote all those songs? They talked about in that documentary.
Well, so basically he had like a lyricist that like him and one other dude basically wrote all of their songs together.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But that even like that relationship of one other person seems like something I can attest to more because I can understand the process of like, all right, Jake, let's what do we got? What are we doing?
Exactly.
As opposed to like if you're just a person that comes into the studio throws scripts out on the table and you start riffing.
Well, it's like how Nashville works. It's like there's all these like songwriters out there that will then like and then they'll like take it to the one artist and be like, hey, do you want this one? They're like, no, I don't want that one. And they'll take it to the next artist. Like it's basically
trying
at that
to
point,
sell a script.
It's who wants to pay for that song.
Yeah, they're songwriters,
Yeah.
but that's kind of I feel like that's kind of always been.
It's always been.
It's always been. Whether it doesn't matter the genre. I think to me it seems more like because more on the countryside.
I feel like it's higher on the countryside.
On the countryside.
So I've been a big Weeknd fan way before he's popular. So I'm one of those guys.
Are you watching his show right now?
I am.
Okay.
I'll get into that.
Okay.
So the Weeknd, like I found this dude back in like 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
Great music. I always felt like I would associate him with having an R&B vibe with a Trent Reznor sound.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I
yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Like a very alternative, dark
He's
you know,
Goth Drake, dude.
Yeah.
goth Drake. That's good one. And I love that. His first album, Trilogy,
Yeah.
most amazing album ever put out, in my opinion. Three albums of songs that I can listen to every one and fucking love. And honestly, the next 2 albums afterwards, same way. I love all of them. Big fan of them, always have been. And at the time, like he was writing songs for Drake and a lot of other people.
Oh.
So he actually writes a lot of his music. From what I understood from the time. I haven't looked since he's become more popular.
Right.
You know, I remember I was watching a funny thing for him. He was saying like he got a Nickelodeon Kid Choice Award for writing a song about doing blow.
I can't feel my face when I'm with you. Yeah.
I didn't know he got a Nickelodeon award for that.
It was some kind of like a Kids Choice Award for some fucking thing, right? And he actually talked about it in one of his songs. But I've always loved his music. I thought it was even every album. Like as a fan of his, I try to put myself in his place, listening to his music rather than like my place listening to it, because he did one. His last album was kind of like more 80s retro, kind of like vibe of like listening to a radio DJ host. And I'm from the fucking 80s and 90s listening to R&B music, so it fucking resonated with me,
Yeah,
right?
That Blinding Lights, I mean, it was blasted everywhere, but it's a fantastic song. I mean, it's produced incredibly well.
What's weird is I listen to a lot of like Gunship or dark synth, and his music will pop up on there.
Yeah.
So I'll see Weekend. I'm like, it's so wild.
Now he's like changing his name too. He's not going by the Weekend anymore.
What is it?
I can't remember now, but yeah, he's
Princing it up, huh?
yeah, he's like I think maybe by his real name. I don't even know what it is.
Abel something.
Yeah, so
Dude, don't Chris
Tessafe.
Don't Chris Gaines it, dude.
he is.
Well, so on the new what was it, The Idol on HBO? I was watching that.
Is that what this?
It's called The Idol.
Is it?
So I love Andrew Schultz's podcast. I watch that all the time, and they were talking about it on there, and I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch the first episode. And Andrew Schultz, he likes to call everything the heavies. Mm-hmm. So I started watching it, thinking I'm gonna see some fucking big ass titties on this whole thing. They're not big, but I get they were talking about. Yeah. You gotta love HBO. HBO keeps it real for men.
Always has.
Always has.
I mean, I'll never forget. My grandfather had HBO, and that's back when you had the slides. You had to put it on like one of the UHF channels, and then slide the top box over, and then the TV would go to HBO. So you had this. You had this slider. There was a cable box.
It's kind of like up, down, left, right, ABC, start.
Yeah, exactly.
It was literally a cable box. So you would put it on a UHF on the turn dial on the TV, and then slide the bar over, and HBO would come on. It would give you HBO, Showtime, and Skinamax. And
Skinamax, yeah.
But my grandfather, we'd stay up late with him when we'd go and stay with him, and Grandma would go to bed. He'd stay up. He'd let us have ding dongs or Twinkies or something, chocolate milk, and then he'd let us watch Benny Hill. Super inappropriate at the time. We thought it was like Three Stooges. Yeah. The music always made me laugh, but that was. But yeah, for men, HBO was when it got past this. HBO was the first Adult Swim. Yeah. I mean, they when you got past 11 o'clock, because they had to compete with, like I said, Skinamax and Showtime. They all went dark at 11 o'clock.
Real sex. I always remember that skit from Dave Chappelle when it was the real sex on the street. When the chick's talking about how she got gangbanged and he was ugh. Fucking leaves her on the spot. Yeah.
HBO used to have some wild shows when they were figuring it out.
Taxi Cab
Confessions.
Dude.
Yeah. What fucked HBO up, and it also changed the game across the board for everybody, was Sopranos. When HBO came out with Sopranos, that was all those shows like Taxi Cab Confessions, Real Sex, all those gone.
Yeah.
Gone. It
There's a lot of production that goes into something like Sopranos.
Yeah, because they had like Entourage too at around the same time.
Well, Entourage. Well, Sopranos was the OG
For sure.
of, like shows, and then
6
after
feet
that,
deep and or 6 feet
Six
under.
Was it
6 feet under?
Under. Yeah.
The Wire is on there.
The Wire.
Too.
The Wire
The
was
Wire.
the Wire was another OG. God, man, what a good show. But yeah, and then 6 Feet Under was another great one.
I still haven't been able to get through all the Sopranos.
no.
I didn't start watching TV until like 2012. Walking Dead was the first show that got me hooked on like the concept of a season. So my entire 20s, I did not watch TV.
So one of the first, I moved in with a roommate when I had just graduated college, and I moved in with a roommate, and I had real money that I thought we could afford cable. So
Exactly.
we split a cable bill, and I was like, wow, we'll get HBO.
There used to be a highlight for a hotel stay.
Yeah.
Well, I remember
Not Wi-Fi.
I remember
You
when
got HBO.
we would stay up late at night. We smoke weed and watch HBO. And I remember,
Those were so simple, man.
dude, legit. So we would stay up late and watch HBO. And
It's going quick.
As they were about to polish it off.
I remember. Oh, I knew we'd do it. I knew we'd do it. But I remember when Sopranos came on, it was incredible, and we were hooked. And that was the frustrating part. Is back then you couldn't binge watch; you had to wait. So it became like date night for me and my roommate after that. And then people started. Oh, you have HBO? Watch The Sopranos? Can we come over and watch HBO with you?
See, I didn't
Watch
really
parties.
watch a lot of those, and every now and then I would turn it on HBO. But what fucked me up was Oz.
Oz was a good show.
The first time I ever saw it, I turned it on, and it was in the shower. All these dicks are everywhere, and this guy's getting shanked. I was like, what the fuck am I watching?
Why am I turned on?
Why am I hard right now?
I thought American Me was like, to me, that was probably one of the most traumatic prison movies I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
And then Oz came out, and I was like, I still can't look at the farmer's insurance guy the same way.
Oh, yeah.
I can't. I'm like, I've watched that guy rape so many dudes in Oz. I can't. Every time I see him, I'm like, get the fuck away from me, man. I don't want to watch this guy sell insurance.
The black dude.
No, the white guy.
Farmer's Insurance?
The older dude.
The older dude.
The one
Yeah,
who's always
he was
like,
he was like the Aryan Brotherhood leader in Oz. Yeah.
trying to think what his real name is. I can't think of it now.
Well,
but-
I can't remember his. Anyway, he scared me to death in Oz.
wasn't he in Full Metal Jacket too?
No, I don't think so. No.
No. Okay.
It's just, man, like, I watched the whole video last night on the issue with the Writers Guild right now, what they're going through,
Right.
and why they're striking. And it was, it's all about streaming. Everything is, like,
I could see that.
revolved around streaming because the Writers Guild situation that's going on right now is a writer would be on a show for about 40 weeks a year, right? So there's, 56 weeks in a year?
52.
52. So they'd be on a show for 42 weeks a year, so they would have a paycheck for 42 weeks of the year, right?
Okay.
But then they would make residuals off the show running on other platforms, right?
Sure.
So that check, depending on what type of show it was, might be $400 a month or $4,000 or $20,000. If it's a office or
Friends
friends or something like that, right? So now that streaming doesn't do residuals. They pay straight out like
It's a bulk payment.
yeah, and so they get like it's like it's fucking them to where like, and then because all shows are not 20 episodes now, they're doing 8 episodes to 7 to 9 episodes, and they're basically putting out to where now these writers are working for 13 weeks a year. And they're not getting residuals on the back end that amount to anything. So that's why the strike's coming out, right? It makes sense,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I didn't research that a whole lot. But yeah, that does make a lot of sense on why that would be happening.
And a lot of the times the writers, so the writing the show would overlap into production, meaning that while they were in production, they would work with actors on like certain lines if they
Yep.
need to work it.
Right.
They cut that out to where now writers are not being paid to be on set anymore.
Did you see that little fallout with Jenna Ortega from Wednesday? So there was a couple tweets because, well, before the strike, she had come out and said, oh yeah, I had to spend some time like rewriting lines. She made some statement basically, like kind of calling out the writers during the Wednesday show, like that she had to like go in and like help and rewrite these things. So then when the strike came out, a couple of these writers said, "Oh, just hire Jenna Ortega to write shit," basically. So yeah,
That's wild, man.
I never realized how much money. That Joey Diaz story, you know, when he was talking about his Taco Bell commercial, and the story of him getting paid on that, I was like, that is the wildest shit.
What was that on? He said it.
I can't remember whose podcast they were discussing it on, Theo Vaughn or Joe Rogan's, one of those. But they were talking about Joe. So Joey Diaz did, and this is back like his Coke days, right?
Yeah.
He does this Taco Bell. I haven't even seen the commercial. I keep reminding myself to like YouTube it and watch it. But so he gets paid every time it runs on whatever network, wherever he gets it, he gets paid. So, you know, he would go down and they were like, how much blow were you doing back then? He goes, well, it depended on what my residual check was for my Taco Bell commercial, because it was the only source of income I had at the time. So he's like, I'd go to this place and I would pick up my check every week because I would have a residual check from this Taco Bell. He's like, in the beginning, I'm getting, you know, it's every time it runs, I'm getting a check for $2,500. So every time anywhere in the United States that this commercial runs, I'm getting a check for. So
And back then, $2,500, dude.
well,
shit, yeah,
so
dude.
he's like, every time it ran. So he's like, I'm picking up these big ass checks. And then he goes, the commercial was actually really popular and it ran for like 4 years. He's like, 4 years later, I'm still going. He's like, I'm just doing a lot less blow.
dude, I got a buddy from high school that is in the Hollywood. Like he does like smaller movies, but he does like mostly commercials. Mm-hmm. And just a little bit that I talked to him about it, man. Like that life is just, man, dude. I just cannot believe like the hustle that they have.
I don't have the self-confidence to go through the just the trying out for roles.
Well, and like he's got like 3 jobs outside of just doing these commercials basically.
And that's really what he's doing.
yeah.
Just
Yeah.
I saw an interesting interview with Chris Pratt where he was talking about how he tried to do all these different roles before he got the Guardians one.
Yeah.
And he was saying like he was turned down left and right. He was like, I didn't think I was going to make it in showbiz, and then all of a sudden I get this one, and you know.
Yeah.
What's so weird to see him go from Parks and Recreation
To
that.
that.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I thought he had a great role in there, but I didn't see him going as a big time actor like that.
No.
right.
No.
So
Your buddy just does commercials.
Well, I mean, he'll do. He actually was in the Jobs movie, like the Steve Jobs one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was in that one, and he's done a couple other lower. I would say probably Jobs is probably like the biggest one that he did.
Does he have a publicist or manager?
I'm sure he's got a manager. I haven't like talked to him in far in depth because like when I do talk to him, I try not to talk to him about like that type of stuff because I feel like everyone wants to talk to him about that. But
Yeah.
I just like him because he actually is into motorcycles. So like we'll send each other like motorcycle shit all the time. It's really cool. But yeah, he was like in like a really big Mountain Dew commercial. He was in a movie called Little Blue Pill, which was about like Viagra, which was actually kind of funny. It was like it's a very indie film, but it was funny. But yeah.
So,
yeah.
Maybe this, whatever. Did you go to high school with anybody that's like kind of on that famous level, like kind of like we were talking about now?
So I grew up. I don't know how you define fame, but I grew up in a town. And our town was small, like 10,000 people, but like Springfield Armory is like headed there. So I grew up with, and I went to high school with like the kids of the owners of Springfield Armory or Armalite and Rock River Arms.
Oh, okay.
So like literally all 3 of those firearm manufacturers. Actually, the owner of Rock River Arms lives in my parents' subdivision. And then I live in Springfield Armory and Armalite are all within like a 10-mile radius. So where I'm at. So like, I would say that's probably
Illinois, right?
Illinois,
Yeah.
which is like the worst firearm state in the world.
It's so weird.
But yet those 3 are all within a 10-mile radius in Illinois.
It's the one red spot.
Exactly.
Just a glowing ember. A glowing ember of freedom.
So that would probably be the most I have. I have a couple like NFL players and stuff like that,
Oh,
but
for
they
real?
were like very short lived. But that's about it.
Anybody I know, like, what's it? Well, my wife would know. They were younger, like, you know, they graduated several years after. Like the guy that's in, they were in Supernatural. He plays, he's in The Boys now. I don't even know his name. I know they have a brewery outside of Dripping Springs that I like to go to called Family Business.
That's
but,
cool.
and then I didn't even realize how popular Supernatural was, that, you know, that got Moppin Automotive in Garland. I mean, they're making reproductions of the 67 Impala. But anyway, he's the new villain in The Boys, the Amazon series, The Boys.
That's a good show.
Oh my,
Which villain though? Is
he's
it?
the new one. He's like Captain America that they
Oh,
brought back.
Okay.
He's a big. Yeah, that dude's.
So
yeah.
he's from
Yeah,
he's
he's
from
messed up.
Richardson. So he graduated, I think, in '96.
You know what crazy villain we got going right now? So, homeboy went to my high school. That played the guy in Creed and Kang.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's wild.
So what's his name? Jonathan Majors. He went to my high school. He was 2 years after me.
Younger.
Yeah. So he wasn't in my high school when I was in there, but he was in Cedar Hill and he transferred to Duncanville, graduated from Duncanville. And and then I was like I found out about that. I was like pretty stoked about it. And then he gets this fucking domestic violence charge. He's getting dropped from all his movies and shit now. And I'm like, fuck.
Is it official that he's getting dropped?
I don't know. It's not official with the charges, but I really enjoyed him as an actor. Like he did that movie with the pilot thing, the the Korean War pilot movie. I forget what it was called,
Dogs
but
or whatever.
something. It was good.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
He was in so that, and then the Creed movie was good. Creed 3 was good.
It's good. I haven't
It's really
seen
good.
it yet.
It's on fucking. If you have Amazon right now
Yeah.
or Paramount, it's on Paramount.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I
good.
haven't.
It's fun. It's a good movie.
Everybody says it's good. I haven't seen it yet. So.
Kang, you know, he came up in the Loki series in the whole Marvel cinematic thing, but he had a big spot in the Ant-Man movie recently. It's okay. But I grew up, so my high school in Duncanville, like we had the most athletes go major, you know, back in the 90s. So I went to high school.
Duncanville and DeSoto.
Yeah, Duncanville, DeSoto. Like, what was it? The football guy, DeSoto.
Oh no, I know.
He
I know
played
a
for
couple of
Denver
them.
for a long time. Fuck, what's his name? Anyway, yeah, I went to high school. So when I was in high school, I played basketball in that school. We had like Greg Ostertag was the center for Utah Jazz when they were in against the Bulls.
Yeah.
And I'm in high school playing basketball, and he's coming back to play with us.
He's like 7'2", isn't he?
Yeah, 7'2".
Yeah.
Sucked. Straight up, let's be real. But, you know, I'm playing basketball at high school, and the guy that's also playing against Jordan, you know, essentially is coming back to, like, play with us and whatnot. There's two chicks that went to my school. One is a high-end hair, like a makeup person for, like Good Morning America or something right now.
Really?
Like, she does everything for Tony Braxton and a lot of other shit, like... And the people I know personally, like I knew them. Like if I text them, or I don't have their number, but if I messaged them, they would know me and we would talk, right?
Yes.
Not just I went to high school with them, right?
Yeah.
And another chick, her name was Makita. Like the fucking drill.
I was gonna say like the saws and drills.
She ended up, she was always like a very light-skinned chick that was like beautiful woman, right? In high school. She ended up marrying some dude that does all the producing and whatnot for like, remember the R&B artist, The Dream?
Yeah.
And a few other people in that world. His name's like Tricky Ricky, I think is. I don't want to say that. Like, hey, Tricky.
You just did. You don't want to
I
call
don't know.
him that?
Anyway, but it's like, it's crazy to see like how people like find ways to like life. You know what I mean? Like our generation is the first generation that got to watch our cohorts like live.
Yeah. Well, I have so a friend of mine, Dana Mendonça. So we were really, she would always, oh, I model. She was just this little goth girl that kind of came to high school right when I kind of when I was leaving. She dated my brother for a little bit, but I always thought she was cool. Kind of took her, just kind of looked out for her, and but girls would be so mean to her, like, oh, she's modeling.
She's got Nin on her backpack.
So and she worked at the mall. When we would go to the mall, she worked at the makeup counter at Sears, and we'd go and just like hang out with her and kick it with her. She's cool. We smoked dope together, and she was cool as shit. So she ends up living close to where me and my roommate lived at the time. We're hanging out. Anyway, years later, we just kind of lose touch. And one of the kids that's working for me, MySpace is around, and I go in there on break, and one of my employees. Is
people
back
don't
there
realize MySpace was a online thing. It wasn't a phone thing. People they lost the point.
Yeah, you had to be on a computer.
Our generation lost the understanding that we didn't get on social media on our phones.
No, you did it on a computer.
It was on a computer. It was a conscious effort.
And the first Facebook was that way too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I go back into the break room, and we had a PC back there, and he's on the PC, and at first I think he's just looking at like Suicide Girls, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, he's on MySpace, and I'm like, that's my friend Dana, and he's like, you don't know her. He's like, dude, look at how many people you don't know her.
Suicide Girls, but
She's not a suicide girl. She had her own. She ended up going by Dana Deluxe, and so she ended up having like a full modeling career once she moved to, I think it was L.A. and then Vegas. But yeah, she's like on the side of Josh Brown's tour bus, and her image is like everywhere. But she did it all. So I always thought it was funny. It's like all the girls that talk shit to her in high school, oh yeah, she's a model. Mm-hmm. And then it's like Zach Brown's tour bus goes by, and it's like, yeah, eat shit.
Yeah, right.
Did you see that like a story about like Michael B. Jordan, where he was like promoting the new Creed movie, and the chick that went to high school with him is like some announcer on one of the media outlets. And she was on a podcast saying like he was a corny motherfucker in high school, and so while she was interviewing him on the red carpet, he was like portraying. He was like with that in mind that she said he was corny. Like it was an awkward situation. It's on YouTube, but
damn,
dude, it's crazy. Like if you look at like the Suicide Girls, like if you flip that book open, bro. That made every chick think she was a model.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go on there.
MySpace did that. MySpace did that. You can thank MySpace for that.
You can't. No. You can't thank MySpace. You can thank men for that.
Yeah.
Well,
straight up.
MySpace,
because men are gonna look at every tier. It sounds so fucked up when I say it this way. Every chick in the world has an audience.
Yes,
for sure.
Every chick. I'm into thicker girls. I'm into girls that are more this. I'm into that. I'm into this. Blah blah blah.
This is the most maddening part of women having insecurities for me is that they you have an audience. I don't care who you are. You have an audience.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
you will have, if you put yourself out there, if you're willing to do that, you will have an audience.
Yeah. I have a cousin that is like definitely not, and like far removed is from the sense of like we don't really. If we're in a holiday setting, like we're gonna be fine.
Can they hear the rain real bad on the? Are they saying it?
Yeah,
it's raining like a motherfucker.
Yeah, if you can't hear the rain, it's coming down pretty hard.
I mean, it's showing up on here, but no one's saying anything.
But she is a very big girl, but she is absolutely all into the I don't know. She probably has an OnlyFans. I don't know, but she has similar things like that, and that is her only occupation.
That's how she generates revenue.
Yeah. Did y'all watch that Netflix thing, like the thing about Pornhub?
No,
I did not. I didn't even know about it.
Yeah, so it's like it talked about the whole like everything behind Pornhub, the whole idea of it.
Like 1 billion streams. What is it? What was it? It was a crazy number when I heard the number. How many they stream?
It was interesting to know where I spend some time.
Well, wasn't it not Pornhub specifically?
Don't act like you haven't been there. You
No, what I'm saying is,
Wait.
wasn't the porn
Hey,
industry?
what's
what
Pornhub? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I think the porn industry was actually the one that decided whether it was Blu-ray or what's that HD.
Yeah.
I
that was-
know what you're
whatever.
talking about. Yeah.
I think because I thought I remember reading an article that everyone in the porn industry was going with Blu-ray, so that's what killed the HD DVD.
Just
or
piss
whatever it was.
outside. I'm baking helmets. No, it was something like that. So basically, what happened with the porn industry, apparently, when streaming came about, when they would come there, it would be like the advertisements on it would make up for it. So Pornhub, the parent company, ended up buying out all these other, like Pornhub owns Brazzers and all these other ones. Like
Well,
it's all the same brand. It's like, hey, go here, cool. More views over there, more advertisement over there, right? And apparently, so like the biggest issue was like they wanted the views. The views created like sales for revenue, and so there has been a big fucking thing of like, okay, how do you know? Because of verified users, like basically like I could start a Pornhub account and put up some random videos that I shot myself on there, and there's no way to know whether or not the video I'm putting out there is of age, and they would run it no matter what because it got views.
Right.
Whatever it's Pornhub is YouTube. It's just
Yeah.
with pussy and dicks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so they did that for a long time, and then like all the heat that they got was because they needed to regulate it and make it to where it's only verified people on there.
Right, 18 and
To make sure that it was all there. So it's an interesting watch. You know what I mean?
is it critical of? 'Cause
Yes.
I'll be the first.
Very
look,
critical of
I don't,
Pornhub.
Look, I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good for people to watch, but I don't pass judgment either, right? So, but that was my. Is it a critical piece?
It is. It's not pro Pornhub.
Right.
It's just pro. It's pro like
Get your shit together.
not like, hey, look, don't jerk off anymore. Like
Well,
they're saying,
no.
keep jerking off.
I'm saying like this needs to be regulated.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there are probably there's some video content. Look, I've had random dudes that I've worked with over
Dude,
the
can
years.
we get back to jerking off in the woods?
and finding a magical
Finding a
porn set.
magazine and like jerking off to the one chick, and that becomes like the thing you're into for the rest of your life.
So anytime I've ever done a sports team, I've always
Wait, say that again.
Hold on. Fuck off. Anytime like
You can't say we're talking about Pornhub and you say you're
Hold
done a
on,
sports
hold
team.
on, Okay. Anytime I've been on a sports team and like had to create a team name, it's always been Off in the Woods. So then, whenever we lost,
So we call this podcast Whiskey Off in the Woods?
So anytime the other team would beat us, because we were always generally bad, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, we beat Off in the Woods." Or did you beat Off in the Woods? We're like, yeah.
It's got to be the name. It's got to be the
I'm
name.
fucking dead.
So anytime you guys play like a softball game or something like that, make your team Off in the Woods.
They're all fucking amped up. You guys just played another a police baseball team. They're all hyped up. Dude, we fucking totally beat Off in the Woods. Exactly. We beat the shit out of those guys.
Beat your dick off right now. Oh, that's good.
Oh my god, that's fucking hilarious. What a low expectation group of guys. We're just basically gonna put a team together to troll other dudes.
it started, we played at this indoor soccer league and we were all terrible. Like we would just smoke weed and go play soccer, like in this indoor soccer, and we were awful. We literally lost all but one game. So that's why that's some pretty good thunder.
Get some fucking thunder in there.
Yeah. So that was literally like our reason why we made that name, because we're just like, we're never gonna win. So
God, dude.
Off in the woods.
All right.
Whiskey off in the woods. I don't know, man. It's we've got off a fucking crazy tangent here.
It's been all over the place. It always is.
So we haven't really talked about your build.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Let's wrap that up. Yeah.
We
So
got pictures this week. What's the first pictures I've seen? You guys may have been pretty to
yeah,
others.
no, I saw. Yeah, pretty much what he showed you is what got posted in our chat.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm talking over the rain right now.
I know.
So, no, this honestly gonna be probably one of the nicest softails built in 2023.
I think for what I have seen so far, and I mean, Scott's is probably going to be up there too. There's no what I've seen of Covington's, but there's almost not a bolt or a part untouched with this bike. And it really became because when I built my Road Glide,
I want to ask you that.
Yeah.
So, like, your Road Glide was like your first introduction into this world of custom motorcycles. Like, that process versus this process.
Yeah.
Like, I think you were about to get into it anyway, but go ahead.
Yeah, so actually, I distinctly remember being on the phone with you about even like the wanting to get the paint done, and I remember saying like I had this like vision of like what I was going to use for parts and do all this other stuff, and I remember you saying something like, "Oh, like you know, like I can help you with this, you know, like the parts like." From the build aspect of it, and I remember being like, oh yeah, I got this vision, like I was just going to go down this route. There is a part of me that's like, I wish I like would have opened myself up to some outside influence with that. And basically, with my Road Glide, there's a lot of things that I did not the way I would have done it today, and I've like redone them again. And so everything that I've learned with that bike is now going into this lowrider. And of course, I've been introduced to more brands, more people, and just other things that are going on. And that aspect of it is where I feel like I've really been able to make this vision come together. That's going to be, what I like about this one is, it's really hard to get away from like the just purchasing parts today. I mean, that's the way
it is.
It's really hard to get to do that. Especially, I'm not going to go buy a CNC machine and fucking build this shit, right? But having the introduction to Justin, my machinist, and being able to, and I'll be the first to be honestly like the first time I really understood or knew Justin was from this podcast, and I actually thought he was an asshole. And I was like, and I was like, I don't want his parts on my bikes. And but then I met him for the first time. I was like, oh no, that's just like you guys' banter, and that's how like you guys like. And I was like, oh, like he's a totally cool dude. But so I'm getting to know him a little bit more, and now this lowrider will have one-off parts that no other bike has. So even though I'm not making them because I'm not a true builder, but it will be a bike that has parts that are no one else has, and that's what I think is cool.
So the dynamic too is like this is Lauren's bike that you guys are building together. Like, how has it been with her input?
Yeah.
And working with everybody, and I mean because I've seen the pictures, and Jeremy's killing the paint. Yeah. And what sucks is right now I'm finishing my lowrider, and I've seen pictures of yours. I'm like, fuck. All right. Well, we can't all win them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, and honestly, the way with my wife and I, Lauren, obviously she loves motorcycles, but she's not into like researching the companies and like the parts and stuff like that like I am, which is fine. So what I'll do is I'll bring her like 2 or 3 options. I'll be like, hey, these are like some of your best options you can have. Like what do you like the most? And she will pick from there. So it truly is her vision from that side of it. I'm just making sure like the best brands, the best stuff, and like not like the total hell yeah brother shit. Because to be honest with you, when we started like going down the paint route, like a lot of the things that she was picking was like very like Hispanic V-less stuff, and I was like, no, we gotta this type of bike is not going to like that. You can't do that here.
Yeah.
So like, and then she like started like researching more of this style, and she's like, oh no, actually I like this. So it's been a good aspect from that standpoint, but there's also been even with this build, there's been some things where I was like, oh, maybe we necessarily don't need this. But then, like, I'll talk to Justin. He's like, no, you got to do that. Or I'll talk to you. You're like, no, you got to do this. You know, like that type of thing. I'm like, oh, at least we're still in that stage where we can change this type of a thing.
Yeah.
But now we're at the point where we've basically touched every part on the bike. And that's a great thing. You know, like, it's going to be a bike that's going to be well recognized out there. But it's been a long
What
process.
I'm stoked about is in Sturgis this year, you guys had to make sure that y'all come to the party.
Yeah.
Winton's house. We say Winton, but Winton and crew, Scott, all the homies there.
Yep.
That house, that party on Sunday night is going to have your build, my build,
Yeah.
their builds. Like, there's going to be so many fucking custom bikes there. Everybody's eating barbecue, drinking beer, having a good time.
Chuck and Z got 2 new bikes coming out too.
Dude, I saw a couple of their fucking snippets. Is it coming out dope?
Yeah. No, their paint looks great.
For real.
And they're doing a lot of good shit. So I think they'll be done within the next like 10 to 14 days, and so those bikes will be there too.
Nice.
So,
Dude, it's gonna be great.
There's going to be some, though I already know there's going to be some bangers there. There's going to be
what
some
I love
bangers.
about Chuck and Z's paint is it's honestly it's shit that I've never really seen before. And maybe you have, because I haven't been in
I
this.
haven't seen it yet. So
So they're paint jobs that are pretty unique, and I think that that aspect of it is going to be well received.
well, I mean, consider this. Like, when you think about like the performance scene or just the scene in general, and you think about the main painters that paint bikes, you're paying for their style,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, it's your idea, but it's still my style,
Right.
So you're seeing a Jeremy Lucky Strike or myself or Poland or Jason Vanderwood, you know, these guys, right? So you're seeing the same people reiterate your vision into their style.
Sure.
And, you know, the thing about style is like, for us, we want to get to a point where we're selling our style. I don't want to sell my skills. I want to sell my style.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I want to sell my handbag.
Yeah.
This is the Louis Vuitton.
Yes. Yes.
I don't want to sell that I can be
Right.
anything. I want to sell, you buy this because you want that shit.
style. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, people got to understand, like, you know, that is what it is. And there's a point in time where when I was growing up in this thing, when I thought that I was ready to be at the helm, the fucking king dingling of this thing, every time I ever thought I was on that level, someone like Loker would do a paint job, and he would just like, I'm not ready.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm fucking not ready, dude. This dude, he just, I don't know where the fuck that shit came from, but what the fuck, man?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I was living under, we were playing on 2D surfaces, and this motherfucker just came out here with some fucking 4D shit.
Right.
Right? But that's the thing with paint is paint is a crazy ongoing elaboration of like change, right? Yeah. What I'm good at in 10 years from now, what I'm good at might not be popular, and therefore I'm irrelevant.
Yeah.
Well, they become, because if you look at a lot of like Perowitz stuff, to me those things.
Can you
Look,
get
even
Dos Equis to counter this?
even a lot of like if we look at a lot of the chopper art, I think stuff that we saw in the 90s, even with the mini truck and stuff, like to me it was like they just hold their time capsules, and I appreciate them a lot more. I used to look at them as like fads, like that's a fad.
So let me
that was
ask
a
you
goofy-
this: the time capsule concept, which I agree with 100%. I feel like right now, and Marcus, you've been in the game for a long time. I feel like we're sitting here. Our audience are people that are kids. We were talking about our kids earlier. like very new to this, no understanding. Like the amount of people that don't know who Billy Lane is, or even Jesse James.
I know.
In our bike night, honestly.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like when you can't even, like, when I'm trying to tell the world, like, hey, look, you know, I just want to fucking leave a legacy like Jesse James, faithfully. They're like, wait, who?
The bank robber?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And they don't know. Like, and I think that's one of the weirdest things about like this world is like, you had this push of motorcycle culture in the early 2000s, and it died off when, you know, like the housing crisis of 08, blah blah blah. There's a couple builders that stayed relevant, but nobody was mainstream media the way Jesse James has been, right? Even Billy Lane, he had some mainstream media shit. It never made mainstream media.
Right.
True.
Right? So you pass that on here, right? We keep coming to here, and like I was talking about a couple weeks ago with some friends. I was like, well, Jesse James is doing a new TV like series on, I think it's Discovery. I don't know.
I know they tried. I know he redid Monster Garage, but I think they only did one season.
He has like a whole new thing going on where he's
really?
like bringing Billy Lane back and Will Castro.
I haven't seen that.
From like I forgot what Will Castro's was. I used to watch that a long time ago back in the day. And, you know, I'm stoked about that, but I'm also like, why the fuck are you finding dudes that used to be something
Right.
and re-putting them on the stage even though they're not doing anything that's relevant now?
Right.
And I'm not going to say that Billy Lane's not doing anything relevant now. I'm not saying that. Will Castro, I'm not in the cars. I don't fucking know what's
Right.
cool now. I really don't. But is there not some fucking like owner, like if I'm the guy, pretentious Jace right now, if I'm the guy, if I'm fucking Jesse James, is it my job not to fuck, like, I want to fucking like bring I want to bring people on. Do I go find people that are guaranteed like old favorites, or do I want to put somebody on? This dude over here is building cool shit. I'm gonna go fucking mentor this guy and bring him up and show him how to like make it.
Jesse could bring on Jacob.
Jacob Conard.
Yeah.
He's
I mean, he's
a little shy, but you know.
Yeah, but I mean, he still helps him build things. He's an awesome builder.
I think Jesse's thing is, look, we all do it to some degree. We're doing it right now. We're talking about people that most young people have no idea about, but they meant a big deal. They were a big deal to us.
Yeah.
Like Jesse James or Billy Lane or Indian Larry, that whole 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s bike scene that grabbed. I mean, it grabbed me. I mean, when I saw that, I'll never forget seeing that shit on Discovery Channel. It forever changed Discovery Channel.
Yeah.
That's how influential it was.
I mean,
So
Orange County Choppers too. I mean, that's what got, I think, a lot of people. I mean, that were not into motorcycles.
You have to understand, like, how the level of popularity that show. Look, they had Orange County Choppers Avon Cologne. I mean, that's the level. That's the. Did you not know that?
I didn't know that.
My grandma sold Avon. That's how I know.
Hey, is that Sex
She's
Panther?
Like, I would get
Is
them
that
for
Sex Panther? 60% of the time it works every time.
You get
Well-
that. You get that. You get that. You get a little bit of that tuttle on you, son.
So this is my. I said this. I was hanging out in Covington's and I was talking to Jerry, OG, just like Jesse James. All these guys built.
Yeah, they were all
Jerry
building around the same
Covington.
time.
The Covingtons are like the people that like a lot of the industry doesn't talk about because they're the ones that did it themselves their own way. And they made. I'm slurring like a motherfucker right now. The Covingtons are the people that built bikes and sold them every year. They're selling bikes or building bikes, selling them. And I'm so fucking thankful that I know them and I get to understand their way of being. The thing is that I'm talking about is that fuck, I don't know what I was talking about. I was thinking about slurring.
Well, I get what you're saying in the sense that we get in these habits of of, we want to promote the people that we looked up to.
Yeah.
Instead of looking at a lot of the younger people and promoting them, so you can continue to water the garden.
I'm gonna counterbalance your shit.
You want to teach the younger people that are paying attention to you about respecting, your elders, and the only
way that you live on forever is if you have a younger audience that cares about what you did.
Right.
Sure.
So when you get to a certain point of building bikes or like being the brand, the Jesse James, if you can't make people respect what you've done in your life, then nobody's there to carry on the legacy that you've had.
Right.
Right. So it's a weird thing, right? This isn't fucking Apple, right? We're bike builders, customizers, blah, blah, blah. Like
Craftsman,
small amounts of money.
Yeah.
Some people made $1 million. The majority of us make $100,000, right? But if you want to carry the legacy within this community, you have to find a way to bring people in. Like Jesse James has been doing a lot of podcasts recently. I'm pretty fucking pissed, to be honest with you.
I didn't
Like
know
going
that.
on others' podcasts?
Yeah.
Has he? I don't know.
But I'm not pissed at him. I'm pissed that I haven't found a way to connect with him to make him do this one.
Right.
I'm pissed. I'm like, what the fuck? I thought this was unattainable.
Yeah.
Now he's doing podcasts that don't even fucking get half the fucking reach that we do. What did I do wrong? Right? But
Is it geared toward? What's it geared toward though?
a lot of it's towards cars.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And
But
now he's like
the problem
big into
is like
firearms too.
I don't think that I can do a podcast with Jesse James and not be like, hey man, so how do you plan to pay back motorcycles?
Yeah, I don't think he owes them anything.
No, I think he does.
Oh, you think so?
I think he owes motorcycles everything. I think everybody that lives in this world of customizing motorcycles and using the world of their influence, motorcycles' influence, to their gain, they owe motorcycles.
Well, look, yeah, we all. Well, I'll agree with you on that. Look, I'm in a teaching position because. I tried. This was my way of being thankful and trying to give back, to something that gave something to me. So yeah, I guess in that sense, yeah.
Let me say this. I've heard Jesse James give his spiel to a handful of podcasts that nobody listens to, and and he talks about like his days of bouncing for Danzig and things like that. And he's in the Mecca fucking culture, right? Long Beach, all this,
Sure.
right? But here's the thing about motorcycles. Like, motorcycles have become this thing that give people like a purpose, and they take that purpose and they make it their own thing. But it's not, at the end of that purpose, the end of that drive, it doesn't feel like motorcycles anymore. But that's not motorcycles' fault. It's motorcycles' reason that you did that, though. So let's go back. I'm gonna dissect, and if Jesse James would love to fucking debate me on this, let's go, brother. Get you on the podcast. You're welcome. He was building bikes and doing all this other shit, but bikes put him on the level, like financially and like publicly.
Yeah.
Sorry, whiskey. Motorcycles did that. Like the problem is that like we can all think about like who we are as individuals. Like, I'm Jace. I fucking custom paint bikes, and I like a certain thing on Pornhub, whatever the fuck, right? Right? We can all fucking individualize ourselves, but if motorcycles didn't happen to me, motorcycles, period, motorcycles, none of this shit would happen. And so when I think about it now, the older I get, the more that I see behind the curtains of life. And I see my heroes, and I realize, okay, I still respect you, but I don't give you as much credit for your individuality when I understand what motorcycles do for people. Right?
Right.
Motorcycling is what made Jesse James. No matter what the fuck happened to him, who he fucked, who he did this, whatever. Motorcycling did that. And so now, what are you doing for motorcycles? The thing that gave you everything in your life. You took it and turned it into what you have, but it gave you.
Yeah.
Yeah, just truth that.
It gave you. Motorcycles gave you that. Not Sandra Bullock. None of that shit. Sandra Bullock wanted to fuck you because you had a motorcycle, motherfucker.
Well, because he ran one of the, wildest, most affluential, custom motorcycle shops in California.
People lose track of motorcycles, man. All the time. They get a good business, everything's going good, and they start thinking about how they can monetize and grow and T-shirts and hats and blah blah blah, and it's everywhere but motorcycles.
He wouldn't even.
When you think about Jesse James, what do you think about? You think about Monster Garage, and you think about Motorcycle Build Off or Motorcycle Mania.
No, I think of the opening scene from
Torque.
From what was it, Motorcycle Mania? He's on one of his mid-control.
Have you watched
Briscoe
Motorcycle
styles.
Mania?
I've seen a few episodes.
Dude,
Okay.
just that opening scene with what was it? Was it Mike Rowe doing the narration for it?
I don't know. If it was, that'd be better.
I think Mike Rowe was doing the narration for it. But he's on one of his mini 8 Frisco style CFL ones, just mid controls, tucked in tight. No, hats turned backwards, bandana, flannel shirt, Dickies work boots.
Usually he's just one arm.
Just one arm in it, dude, tucked in tight, just booking it across the bridge. I will never forget that image. I see that image, and look, I rode sport bikes, but that forever changed my idea and my image on Harley Davidson motorcycles. And that was 20 plus years ago. When that came out and I saw that on TV, I was like, I have to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
I have to have one of those. I can't just have a Harley Davidson. I have to have like a chopper. Like I have to have that. That was the
100%,
coolest shit to me, and it still is. It still is. It still is.
Problem is, like, you put a camera on that dude doing that shit again today. It's like, fuck.
Yeah. Well, Corey and I talk
Reels
about it.
don't do it justice these days.
Corey and I talk about it now. We're like, why did we do that for so many years? Ride those stupid bikes, break that, because riding with luggage, like storage and windshield and, like a proper sport touring bike, like why did we do all that those years before? But it was just that image. You just had it in your head. You saw that. You wanted to be that.
Yeah.
You wanted to do that. And, for me, it's forever ingrained. He wouldn't even have to be attached. There could be a check that's written and his name attached to it that would foster some of this with the younger generation. And I don't want them to forget. I have to remind my students. I mean, we watch his videos in my classes, and that's him just doing metalwork, shaping a fender, doing motorcycle stuff, doing car stuff, gun stuff. I just want them to appreciate that. Look, there are true craftsmen out there that have.
Yeah.
This is the Steve Jobs, the Elon Musk of our industry, of the blue collar trades. This guy literally was the Renaissance man in regards to. I mean, what made him most of his money was his T-shirts, the Maltese Cross West Coast Choppers. I mean, that's what made
For
him
sure.
most of his money.
Yeah.
And he was customizing Softails in his mom's garage and came up with this T-shirt and sold them in Sturgis.
Well, he was. I remember seeing an interview. Like one of his biggest deals was, I forgot who it was. It was it Walmart or something?
Walmart, yeah.
he made
First
million-
$20 T-shirt at Walmart.
Yeah, and he was like, yeah, that was like my first $1 million check or something like that. But then it just kept growing. And he was like,
Well,
Yeah.
they interviewed Sandra Bullock, and Sandra Bullock said, I'm not his sugar mama. He's my sugar daddy.
Exactly. When I heard that statement, I was like, and that's when I started looking into. He had made that deal with Walmart. He was the first one with Walmart to sell a $20 T-shirt. Walmart was selling like Corona T-shirts, Heineken, $7, $10 T-shirts, and he comes in, makes a deal with them, and he talked to a buddy of his that had said, yeah, if you can do that, yeah, and he's like, yeah, we're going to sell it for $20, and Walmart was real hesitant. They didn't think it was going to sell that many. They did a test store, sold out an entire inventory at $20, 350,000 or some odd T-shirts at one spot, one time, and and he set the bar for a lot of everything that Walmart does. So now it's like if you go back and look, I mean, all the remote control lowrider toys, his name. You know, Jesse James, West Coast Choppers. He has a clothing line through Walmart, the work pants, the work shirts, like, you know.
Well, I would say this to him. So the industry that he still, I know he still sees it.
Yeah, has to.
For sure.
I think about who I am as a person. I think about like the money that I make, which is dog shit. To be honest with you. And one day I'm gonna make money. I'm gonna be good, right?
You'll get there.
My hustle is there.
Yeah, you got goals.
Goals, dreams. The problem is like I look at this, and maybe this is a problem why like I'm never gonna be able to be on that level, is because I look at this industry like I'm too connected to it to let it not. There's no way I could ever like take $1 million check and not think about what I could take the money and run. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sure.
So when I think about Sturgis, I think about my experience to Sturgis. Like when I talk about it on a podcast, like I think about how do I continue that? How do I carry the weight? How do I rise those tides for all these ships that go to Sturgis? How do we keep Sturgis being this amazing experience for everybody? And instead of like, I want to put a shirt out, I want to get Harley to pick it up, and I want to fucking like disappear.
I'm a dip.
You know what I mean?
Well, we've seen a lot of that in this industry.
Yeah,
people
but
will latch onto it. They get a step up, they make money, and then they bounce and they move on to greener pastures.
You know what's crazy is, you know why they do that is because they feel like they get so much. I feel like they gotten so overwhelmed with the drama that comes from the world that they live in that they run from it. But how much drama can you deal with when you're the fucking man? I mean, honestly, sometimes all you got to do is be like, I rode my fucking bike here. Like, be rabbit that shit, right? I came to Sturgis. I rode my bike here. I built it. I'm here. I put this show on. Have fun. If you got something shitty to say to me, fuck off. I'll get my fucking dude Jaden over here to beat that motherfucker's ass over there.
Well, or you don't even have to do anything. All you have to do is put the money up. Put the money up to support the event. Attach your name to it, and you can go back to your honey hole. You know.
Yeah.
It's as easy.
You can't
as
do that anymore.
It's as easy. Look,
That sounds like Dixon's next move.
Well, I've always been blown away too how Texas is like the most bike sales in America. Second or third highest population state in America. And how in the hell do we not have like a legit rally here?
Lone Star. I always thought Lone Star was pretty wild. Yeah, you know, I think it's turned into a golf cart.
No, we don't have a legit rally here because the rallies that started here started off the wrong parameters, right? Like Sturgis started off of a very organic idea. Sorry,
Sure.
too much alcohol.
Sure.
Sturgis started as a organic idea, so like Sturgis was able to build on like this momentum of like nobody owns it, right? We don't know who owns Sturgis.
Yeah. No, right.
Yeah, think about the Fast Life Campout. Like,
Yeah.
you think about our brand, the podcast, but 100 years from now, like, do we exist in that? If it,
Right.
No, right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Texas has the Rot Rally and Lone Star Rally,
And
then
Rot's basically dead.
I forgot about Rot Rally.
Rot is basically dead.
Yeah.
I think this year it happened, but it actually like happened in like March and no one knew about it. And
Yeah.
and even last year I did go and it was terrible. And basically after COVID it was done.
Yeah.
Well, they still doing it at the Travis County, because I only went
No.
downtown.
No.
They're
No.
not even doing it out at the Travis. So
They tried to do it at the racetrack.
So 2 years ago they did it at Coda. It was okay. And then last year they did it at some like shitty campground that they couldn't even sell booze at. And it was Fucking awful.
So it's not at Travis County anymore. That's
No.
done.
So Tommy hit me up. They had the opportunity to buy the rally,
No shit.
and I asked him like, well, how much they selling it for? Because right now in my head, what it's worth is not that much.
no.
Right.
You know what I mean? Anyway, that's a whole nother podcast. But the problem with Texas is with rallies and events is that like they need to have an event that's rural enough that allows people to grow within the community, because
There needs to be one near Bandera in that area.
They do 2 times a year. They have Rumble on the River and Thunder in the Hills, but you
But
know
it's
it ends
older
up being
people.
it ends up being a lot of club. You know, it's a lot of clubs that
Right.
just come in. And
So when we hung out with me and Justin from My Machines, we went down to hang out with Tommy, and we did their bike night. And I really wanted to get an idea of what bike nights were like down in Austin, because I've been telling everybody in Austin, like, you guys got to get your scene together.
Yeah.
But their scene is so heavily club influenced that they can't do it.
Yeah.
I don't think they can do it.
really,
I could
Our
see that.
bike nights are our bike nights.
Yeah.
We go to our bike nights. If a patch shows up, they're an accessory to who we are.
right.
Their bike nights down there, like, they do put it out, patches show up, and they don't exist.
Yeah, that's Mikey had kind of allured to that. Talking to him was that that I guess the Red River Rally was the same weekend as Texas Hills, and it was kind of like, well, it's kind of a blessing in that sense, because it just seemed like what I understood in the conversation or his remark was that if there's patches that show up to a bike night, it turns more people away than it attracts.
Oh, for sure it does.
So they were thankful that there was this separate event and they were there, and then we kind of had the place to ourselves. But I agree.
our
I
bike
never.
night in Dallas, like, don't get me wrong, like, I've had so many conversations with Banditos to ensure the fact that, like, we don't have any issues with them. They understand our perspective, what we're doing with our bike night. So when the Banditos show up to our bike night, they show up and they're just showing up to hang out, to be bikers.
Yes.
They're not showing up to be like, hey, what are you doing?
It's not a recruiting effort.
No.
They're just coming to hang out. Because like Chuck would show up on his FXR. Those guys would come and they would bring like their cool shit, just to hang out.
Yeah.
And I love these guys.
Yes, absolutely.
So when I went to Austin and we co-hosted that bike night with Cowboy Harley, I haven't had a talk with like Tommy since then, but their bike nights they're good for numbers, for optics, but they're not good for like relationships. And I think people look, if anything, before I die, I'm gonna write a book on like bike night fucking etiquette. That might be my fucking like only thing I'm gonna fucking leave behind.
Bike night for dummies.
Yeah. So many people think bike nights are about numbers, and numbers do not do what it is. Numbers do not fucking, like, when you roll up to a place, if you are happy to be there because you see a lot of people, then you are a noob on a motorcycle, right?
Probably true.
Oh, this is fucking badass. This is gonna be fun. And then what you realize is that after the first 40 times you do that you made no connections with nobody there.
Right.
You know nobody. You've rode a bike night for 40 weeks and met nobody. You have no connections, no friends, nobody.
Right.
You just talked about the fucking air cleaner you bought last week. That's it.
The heat wave one for Rennie.
The heat wave.
Dude, he was on one the other day.
He
Holy
still is on
shit.
one.
Is he?
Oh, yeah.
I haven't looked, dude. I haven't looked, but I was dying laughing. I was like, fucking roasting motherfuckers.
People need to like stop thinking about like bike nights as success with numbers. Bike nights as success is like get 20 people there and know 20 people there.
Yeah,
That's fucking success, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I agree. I've done my fair share in the 20 years. I've been doing this on Harleys in Dallas, and this was the one. And look, I felt like the old guy.
You've been here since the beginning.
Yeah, I came on a Vikla, and I was the old guy. And, this was a totally new style of Harley Davidson for me. I've seen club guys ride these style of bikes before. But to see a bunch of young guys on these bikes and so excited. You're learning about parts manufacturers and other brands and other people that are into this, and it felt so underground, so alternative at the time. It was like the anti-Harley shit, and I fucking loved it. And I was so sick of the you either had the heck yeah fellas, but all of it was still the same. Like the show scene even at that time it's just as gross as it is now. Let's get a bunch of my guys there so that we can all vote for my bike and make sure my bike wins, and we're going to take my winnings, and we're going to go down to the local water hole, and I'm going to spend this check.
Yeah.
And yeah,
We saw that the last bike show that we just went to not too long ago.
it's just it's how it was with the big wheel bagger scene.
Yeah.
It's just who has the most money, who can write the biggest check. It had nothing to do with community. It had nothing to do with helping each other out. It was just crabs in a bucket, and it was lame. It was lame as shit, or it was tough guy shit, like the tough guy shit too. I can't stand that. Dudes clowning on other dudes for ego purposes, just completely shitty. And this was totally different. Totally different, and it has continued to stay that way. Every event with this scene, with this group, nobody is trying to outdo anyone. Everybody promotes
We're all
each
stoked
other.
for each other.
Everybody,
Yeah, for
that is
sure.
the coolest shit. Is everybody is stoked for each other. You meet somebody new, and you want to promote them, you want to help them, you want to share what their vision is, what they've built, what they've done, what they ride. You want to share that with everybody. You get
Because how cool was it when Sunshine got a new job and then he's like able to buy a Road Glide and he's like I was like, fuck, this is awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Like he was like, dude, I would never imagine that I would be able to have a Road Glide, and because of his new job, he was able to do that. I was like, dude, this is awesome.
It was way better because he wasn't burdening anybody like for trailer purposes.
Right, exactly.
I was you have the biggest piece of shit dyna I have ever seen in my. Every time he talked to him, he'd be like, "It's totally fucked, dude. It's totally fucked.
That's exactly how he talks to.
Super fucked, dude. Can't run it anywhere. I'm gonna need a ride home in the morning, and I need somebody to trailer my bike." But look, he's learning too. He's a sweetheart of a young dude.
Awesome guy.
Him and fucking Jake, dude.
Yeah.
Jake, yeah, he's a good dude. The thing is, like, I've, through my own experiences, I understand that, like, everybody that shows up to our bike night, I don't know where they're going to be at in 5 years. And I'm open with that. Like, if you really love motorcycles, you could be the guy that I answer to in 5 years. Straight up.
Sure.
And so I'm open to that. But I just, like...
Yeah, how many have you seen come and go within like 12
I have.
months?
I've seen this thing about people too, friends.
Sure.
Like I've seen so many people come and go where they're like, they're so stoked to be here, and then their wives get out of it, or there's a lot of dynamics. There's a lot of parameters that come into like being a part of this, and motorcycling is a very fulfilling thing. But if you choose to be on this plane of motorcycling, then you're dealing with some other shit that's very rewarding, but also very challenging mentally.
Yeah.
And if you just buy a bike and you just customize it and you just go ride and you have fun and you got a local group that you're like appealing to, bro, you're in fucking Narnia. That's a great place to be.
Yeah.
But if you want to fucking compete on this national level and be exposed, and you want to be a player where everybody knows you coast to coast, you have to be ready for like mental scrutiny. Not
sure.
that everybody's like talking shit about you, but you got to be ready to fucking deal with people.
Yeah.
And there's
You
going to
get-
be some of that talking shit, like just those piss pirates that are out there.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's
you're
gonna be that.
You're going to have that.
The good thing is like we own all the channels.
Sure.
So, like name a channel other than Instagram where people have their own story. Performance Baggers, we own that channel. Like
Sure.
Yeah.
we own that.
Yeah.
Craig owns it.
Yeah.
I'm owner, kind of.
Yeah.
You know, so we fucking, like, you know, shit goes on there, like, we can regulate that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
even then, it's not like there's a shitload of hate, you know? Like
the hate comes from people that haven't been here long enough. So the problem is, like, if you really think about this, when we started doing this shit 7 fucking years ago.
It's hard to believe.
Or the ones that have
I
been there
painted
too
your
long.
helmet 6 years ago.
I know.
I would make the argument the ones that have been here, I shouldn't say too long, but like very long, because I can't remember which one it was now. Fuck. There was a bike recently that was painted, and someone like came back, rather it just be black.
Oh, that's always gonna happen.
Right? You know, like those types of things. It's like
The problem was that boomers don't know how to use social media.
and that's what it is.
So
yeah.
they get on social media, like, and I see it every day. Like, the posts on Instagram funnel to Facebook, and Facebook is like a place where people feel like their opinion is so valid.
Oh,
the problem is
yeah.
the fucking confidence in these dumb motherfuckers' opinions.
That's true.
They're like, oh shit! I can't wait to fucking talk shit about this bike.
No, exactly.
Gay. And the fact that they close out the app and go to Chili's and don't give a fuck, I'm like,
Hey,
kind of love it. Kind of love it.
I like Chili's though.
Red Lobster, motherfucker.
If you can find a Red Lobster in fucking, if you can find a Red Lobster in New Mexico, fuck with me.
I thought they built them in pairs. I thought it was Chili's, Red Lobster. I thought that's how
it's a
that shit
Dallas
went down.
The Mazia, I forget the brothers that did all that shit, but no, it's crazy, man. Like the problem is, like, not the problem, but the situation is like we're all part of a new wave of motorcycling.
Yeah.
And there's an old wave of motorcycling that's still prevalent, and the powers that be, whoever the fuck they are, they don't know who to choose to promote. Mm-hmm. And so we're sitting here being the new demographic of Harley Davidson, but yet we don't feel like we're the new demographic because, you know,
there's not a lot of representation for it. You know?
I do feel I think Harley's trying to lean into our side a little bit.
I'm not against them.
Yeah. I think what we're seeing in and I know we won't go down this route, but the Born Free things, what's going on right now is
you were there.
I was there. And so I witnessed this whole thing happen. But either way, the two that I know of that they picked right now, I think we're decent picks.
Yeah.
And are good picks, and that's like going down this path
fucking
of
raining, dude.
Dude,
yeah,
it's
it is
pissing
raining.
rain.
Going down this path of like what this new aspect of what Harley is, and so I like where they're going. Now, had you and Justin been in there, I think that would have been like cherry on top. I still don't know what the other four are. But
Do you want to give your perspective on that fucking day in the hotel room?
so this was actually during down south, Floribama, down south.
Okay.
And what's his name? Mike from
Born Free.
Born
Yeah.
Free. So Jason and I shared a hotel room in Floribama, and I don't know. I think I'm out. Hold on.
You're out?
I think I only brought like.
Did you show up with a fucking six pack?
I only brought 6.
I brought a bottle of hooch. I thought that was going to be enough.
All right, I got whiskey over here.
Oh, no. We going bottle 2?
Bottle 2. All right, here we go.
Shit. Let's go. Let's fucking go. Knew I should have brought mushrooms to this party. No. So Mike from Born Free.
So
This is the dude that puts Born Free.
It was actually a funny ass story.
yeah, this is
And
awesome.
I think he could probably say how funny it was because
so
it's fucking funny, dude.
because if you don't know Jason Justin's relationship of like obviously great friends, but also some competitiveness there.
Yeah.
And so Jason and I are sharing a room in Floribama, and he gets a call from Mike, and I can't remember what the and he's got it on speakerphone too, and I'm like sitting at the desk, I'm like charging my phones and my watches or something like that. We just got
When
in.
he had a phone.
Yeah, when I had a phone. Yeah. Yeah.
Another story.
Hey, the same phone right here, by the way. Anyway, so he's talking to Mike, and he goes, I can't remember the whole concept of what it started.
So the funny thing was Mike hit me up. I don't want Justin to know this.
What started
Mike
the
hit me up
conversation?
and goes, "Hey, I was really looking for Justin's information.
That's what it was.
Because I want to
Yes.
invite him to be a fucking invited builder."
Yeah. So
And I said, "Well, I know how to build bikes."
So So that's what it was. So he was calling him because Born Free Texas. Jace was a big part of Born Free Texas, and so he calls him and he's like, "Hey, do you know Justin Page? You know, my machinist." He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Do you have his contact information?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I do." And I'm hearing this all like on the side as I'm like working, and he goes, "Yeah, I really want his number because I want to see if he wants to be an invited builder for Born Free California." And dude, I'm sitting there like I'm like literally at this table, and I'm like, and I there's this long pause, and I just hear Jace go, "You know I build bikes too."
Oh, it was fucking fun. I think I ruined Justin's chances to get a bike, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and then
I'm surprised Jason would be like, Justin, never heard of her.
right. And then Mike goes, "Oh, you do? I thought you just painted."
It hurt. Yeah. It was deep.
You want some more salt on
deep.
that?
It was deep.
And
Oh my God.
so and then like the story like goes on where he's like, "Oh, well, yeah, if you're interested in doing this, like, yeah, we'd be interested in you too." So then that all goes down, and he hangs up, and then he has to call Justin to come down to the room.
I said, "Hey, Justin, come in the room. I got some exciting news to share with you." So we're trying to like reveal this to him and shit. Justin and I had already been talking about the FXR tour. Like, really, it was like culminated at the Down South Campout. But we had to sit it on hiatus until we understood where we were with the Born Free bills with Harley. And we waited all the way up until like just before Christmas when we kind of knew that we weren't going to be building bikes. And then we decided to go the other direction. So
Just do the FXR tour instead.
Which I'm glad it happened that way, man. Like, Don't get me wrong. Like, it would be amazing to build a bike for the whole Born Free thing. But I think that my brand in general is way too controversial for Harley. Even though, put it like this, if they brought me in the way they brought other brands in, I would still be like, I can't abide by all these fucking parameters.
Right.
I'm not saying I won't. I can keep information. You know what I mean? But that's the other thing. The new bikes that just dropped. You know how much fucking heat I get? I put the post out about the new bikes, and people send me hate mail. You're lying. Why am I lying about the new Harleys?
I mean,
what do I get
the
about
lowrider ST? You got spot on. The CVOs have been spot on.
The ST and the CVO both.
Go
spot
listen
on.
to the podcast 6 months ago. I told you guys there was going to be a 121.
The
new
only thing
motor.
that you slightly missed on was the 131.
Yes, it was supposed to be 131s on the new STs for 2023.
Yes.
Didn't happen.
Yeah. That's the only thing.
It's the only thing I didn't hit.
Everything else.
Yeah.
So what's everybody mad about?
Nobody's mad. The people that enjoyed it appreciate it. The people that work at dealerships that think that they're special, they're mad. What I hate is I don't know. It just sucks. I don't want to be that guy for Harley. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to. Like, I know that my brand touches people that ride Harleys,
Absolutely.
Yeah, obviously.
and I don't want to be the dude that's like against Harley when I fucking have them on my fucking neck, dude.
Yeah, I
Is
mean-
it on this side?
Yeah, it's on that side.
It's on that side, yeah.
So fucking gay, dude.
Yeah.
They don't allow
I
that.
was gonna say that.
This is so fucking gay, Harley. No, I love Harley.
That's
and
so trans.
I'm progressive. So I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. It's you know, the crazy thing about like this shit is you're a dumb motherfucker if you think that like you're ever gonna be. I'm a dumb motherfucker if I ever think I'm gonna be Ray Ripple. Straight up.
Sure.
I'm just not. Like Ray is a voice for women that I'm never gonna be, and a voice for men is few and far between. There's so many.
I don't know. I mean, maybe if we keep going down the road we're going down, at some point.
Think about it. Like, we're not in a world where the voice for men matters.
No.
So
No.
I'm in a generation. Like this is the thing that fucks me up, right? Put me in 2020. Put my whole life right now, who I am, what I'm capable of doing, what I'm doing in 2020. Bro, I'm excited about my opportunities.
Yeah.
I'm in 2023, 2024, right? The whole industry is about women. And we've talked about that.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at the fact that women are fucking getting their fucking due diligence.
Sure.
I'm not mad at that.
No.
But I'm kind of like in a weird place where I'm like, the fuck, man? Like, I thought I was going to get at least
my frustration.
some sherbet at the end of this rainbow.
Well, my frustration with all of it is everybody should be appreciated for talent. And it doesn't matter what your gender is, what your sexuality is. It should be based on skill and talent. And I don't feel like I don't feel like there's an adequate representation of the amount of craftsmen that there are. Look, this is not a big world. This is not a big world. It just is so. And the guys that are in this world, even if you break down the different segments of Harley, so if you want to focus on big wheel bagger stuff, if you want to focus on beakless stuff, if you want to focus on the hell yeah brother stuff, and then if you go to these are not big markets.
So let me ask you this.
I get super. This is why I will always support, and I always share it with my students and anyone who listens. Like, these guys are true fuck. And I'm not saying that Ray is not. She's a
badass.
She's an amazing, and she has an amazing story to tell, and she's an amazing fucking role model for young girls.
Yep.
But her talent is being recognized equally, just like it should be for anyone else. And I don't care if you're a man, a woman, it should be recognized equally. And there are too many people out here that do not, especially with Harley, that do not have their talent recognized. Let's just look at the painters alone that paint these amazing machines that do not get any recognition from Harley.
The problem is, like, when you know your paint jobs are being fucked. Like, I know the people that work at Gunslinger. Gunslinger is the one that creates the custom paint jobs for Harley.
Right.
They are my friends.
Mm-hmm.
They are also my fucking people that ask me for advice.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but like I mean, you could make the argument that your paint jobs, Jeremy's paint jobs, whoever's paint jobs are help selling Harleys.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Whether or not they're actually doing custom shit to them. I mean, even mine alone, I've heard people say like, oh, like I've had to like buy a bagger because of what yours looked like, you know, type of thing. So that happens. Like, those paint jobs are selling motorcycles.
I think the way that I wish Harley they could have an infinite amount of media that would be so fresh and so fun if they would just start picking. Like, you know, they could do they could just start going down the list, checking all the boxes and doing an expose. And, you know, there's 12 months of the year. For how many years that you could have an
problem is, well, this is what Harley's doing. They hired a new group, and this group is fresh off the college spectrum.
Yeah.
Because they're cheap.
Yeah.
They're fresh. They have no experience. They have no other business in their resume, right? So they get to come in and they get to put all these ideas they got through college, which we've all watched Jordan Peterson, which realistically fucking resonates into our culture pretty heavily.
Yep.
The thing about like where they've done right is Ray Ripple. is there's chicks. Lady Lassen, that chick, I've known her for the entire career. I've had a motorcycle podcast. This chick has been a badass.
She is badass.
100%.
Just real quick side. Who's the one that's painting the? I saw an expose on her. She was a painter for the chop bags. What's one of the who made your chop bag for the lowrider? What was the company you bought yours from?
Harley.
Oh, yours is from Harley.
My bags are Harley on that.
Even the chop tour pack. The tour pack.
Amazon.
Black?
Amazon. Yeah, but who's the company that made it? It's
Advent Black.
Advent Black.
Yeah.
She's the painter for Advent Black, and they have a whole expose on her.
Who?
It's a
Because
female
I don't
painter.
believe it.
It's a female painter. Yeah, well, there's that too.
Advent Black's painting all these tour packs and all these replacement parts. Like
It might be.
there's not-
It's either the Advent or Hogworks. It's one of the two.
Oh,
But they
Hogworks
had
is another one.
they had an expose on. She's a female.
They're leaning it. Hey, I could be wrong. I'm a gambler. I'm gonna roll the dice. I think it's a 7. They are leaning into the female empowerment because there's no way a one person, chick alone, one person is painting all this shit.
Oh, I'm not saying she's painting all their stuff. She's one of their painters.
Sure.
It's a fucking advertisement.
Right. What's wild is, what we see enrollment wise, it also kind of freaks me out a little bit. And not because I'm sexist, but it worries me for men. We are seeing far more women come into my industry segment than we are painters, bodymen, techs, than you are young men, which is totally fine.
But
they are
honestly, man, like on that segment, I fucking love this.
I do too.
I love
Yeah.
this.
I do too.
And I wish that just one time some female would ask me for advice.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because like I hate to be the person that's been in this industry for 20 plus years, and then all of a sudden now I'm competing with Iwata sponsorships with the chick that's been here for 2 years,
Right.
Who sucks?
Yeah.
Sure.
What Raven, the other professor, what she'll tell me is she's like, this is the best generation of mentors for a lot of young women because we are far. Look, you look at the guys you and I learned from. You don't want those guys around young girls. They're in a much safer.
We're gonna finger him.
You said it, brother. You
So
said-
Larry Nasser.
But look, you're a lot more open with sharing our generation is a lot more open with sharing our information.
I pride myself on being a person that wants to share information as long as I'm triggered with the right question. And that's like, women, it doesn't matter who the fuck it is. If you ask me the right question, I'm a puppy dog giving you information.
Right.
And I like the idea, like, there has to be a threshold. I've seen chicks come up in the custom paint side of things. And the problem is like nobody ever fucking talks about this. These chicks have dealt with shit on social media that I told them was going to happen because of their infancy and who they were and who they didn't understand the dynamic of dealing with business. And because they're chicks, because they can do they get fucking blown up out of proportion. And then you get these fucking Instagram pages talking about people talking shit about them. But it's like, I'm not mad at the person because they're leaning into the opportunity that they have. I'm mad at the world that gave them the opportunity before they were ready.
Yeah.
I grew up in a very fucking cutthroat industry. And I don't want that industry for people, my contemporaries.
No, I don't either. I don't either.
I want them to understand the sacrifice that needs to be made to earn the opportunity that they have.
Yeah.
And women or men are like doesn't matter. Like that's what's hard. Like men, we can't be who we are around women in our industry because of the dynamic of what's going on. Like, we can't. Because a chick's in here, okay, we gotta be delicate. And the chick's like, I want you to be fucking, I want you to treat me like everybody else.
Yep.
Right? And we want to be that way. But we don't trust her because she can fucking flip the script and turn it into a fucking national news monument because we fucking said the word, like, you're being gay as AIDS. Right? Yeah. She don't understand shop terminology. There's words that me and you grew up with that are second nature to us that I'm having to, like.
So, I know this is getting like down this path. Do you guys remember? I'm sure you do, but it was during the presidential election when the whole like grab her by the pussy thing, right?
I loved it.
So
Awesome.
But you heard, and Trump came out and said like, "Oh, that's just locker room talk." But then you heard like NFL players come out and say, "I've never heard that in the locker room," and I was like, "Bullshit, brother! You're only saying that because your wife, like, you gotta like play this card right now." I'm like, I only played sports through like high school and a little bit of college, and the shit that I heard in the locker room was way worse than that. Oh. And I was like, you're an NFL player and you haven't heard something on the, like...
We grew up on 30 for 30.
Yeah. I was like, dude, the fact that you're going to come out and say, oh, I've never... Like, I can't remember the NFL player that said there's like 2 or 3 of them. They're like, oh, I've never heard that.
Dude,
I was like, bullshit.
My whole childhood is built on the fact that Sean Kemp had 40 fucking kids.
Right. Or Wilt Chamberlain slept with like 10,000 women.
Magic Johnson had a fucking secret room at the goddamn forum where he fucked girls.
Yes.
Dude, that was a goal to get to.
Yeah. And you're talking about, you've never heard someone say, grab him by the pussy. Get the hell out of here, dude.
Jake's getting fired next week.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard worse things come from the coaches on fields.
Exactly.
Right.
Dude, what other players said to other players?
Yeah.
You know, when you're talking shit.
Dude, when you watch that Adam Sandler Netflix movie, The Hustle, or what I think it was what it was, when that dude was talking shit to the other NBA player and got in his head and made him not fucking play as good as he was.
Oh, yeah. That's a fucking great movie.
Yeah, it's good.
I watched it twice with my wife. I couldn't remember the name of it. Yes.
I think it's called The Hustle or something like that.
It's an incredible fucking movie. I actually fucking... It really struck a note because the relationship I had with my mentor was very similar. I sent it to my mentor and I was like, you have to watch this fucking movie. This is hauntingly familiar with, the role he took in my life at the time. Great fuck. But you're right. Yeah, that way that dude got into in the shit they were talking. Terrible. Yeah. Terrible shit.
Yeah.
Terrible shit. But that's just another form of adversity.
The problem is, like, people don't think about, like, kids coming up, they don't think about adversity. They think adversity is like they think adversity is like a like a video game where the adversity is like within a realm of like acceptability. This adversity that's coming to you it doesn't exceed this. It doesn't, and I mean, adversity for us is like, we can, like, adversity to us is like, it's relative. Like, it could be the most existential thing we've ever dealt with, or it can be fucking like nothing we've ever, like, shit was bullshit. I brushed that shit off, right? But kids, like, they don't have experience. Like, they don't have the understanding of, like, the different ways that the world is gonna put. Let me put it like this. I used to tell my brother this all the time. The world is out there to make you fail. If the world was out there to make you fucking succeed, then you would. That doesn't make sense. Why would the world want you to succeed?
Right.
There's too many people that need that opportunity. And there's too many people that choose the simplest things to fucking get off the path of opportunity. Pills, drugs, pussy, fucking all these other things. Like, the biggest talent in the world, but they couldn't get past pussy. They couldn't just jerk off one night, right?
Right.
Like those things is what makes an average motherfucker succeed. Straight up.
Yeah.
Because if it was like all about like the most elite motherfucker in the world, they got everything. They had the best abs and the most stamina and whatever. Like then we would never fucking succeed. But sometimes the mind comes into play, and sometimes the fortitude comes into play, and that's what separates us from other people. And I always tell my brothers, like, everybody that sucks is another person we can step on to the top. And that fucking sounds horrible. But if you're thinking about yourself growing and trying to, like, build a foundation for your family, everybody below you is a fucking stepping stone to your success. And unfortunately, it sounds fucked up, but I would never want that to be us, like, I'm going to fuck you over for my success, Marcus, because I appreciate you.
Well,
But if you're the guy at the fucking like Chase building that I'm going to get a job against, fuck you, dude. I saw you at fucking Happiest Hour last night, and you were fucking making out with a fucking trans, dude.
I've seen your grinder profile, sir.
I saw him at Spearmint Rhino.
Your Honor.
I saw
Clearly into gay sex.
saw him. He was in line at BJ's in excess. I saw it. Look, there is no difference between us and people forget that. People forget that we are an animal. People forget that. So I try to operate on I'll call it a caveman mentality, in the sense that you have to be able to provide for yourself, and you have to kind of operate that way. Look, the rules in the game are totally different. How we provide, how you gather, hunt, all that's completely different. But you still have to operate under that same mindset, and that strong genes pass on strong genes. And if you don't understand that, look, I don't make the rules. Do I like them? Look, I have some. I'll talk to some students or some younger people, and we're not designed to live this way, man. And I'm like, the mindset you have right now, you wouldn't live, period. Right? Like, it requires work. It requires effort.
Keep thinking that way.
If we look, let's go back and just pretend this is we're in the early 1800s. You've got to build your own shelter. You've got to hunt your own food. You've got to grow your own garden. How long are you going to live with this? We're not designed to live like this, man. Working for the man. Look, I don't make the rules. I don't. I understand how they operate, but this requires effort. This is going to require effort on your part. And the fucked up part too is that the most of the people I know that have done the most with the least have had the most struggle in their life. The people that and I don't judge anyone. Like, I know people that have come from they've had the best America has to offer, and they have done the best with it. And I think that's even more amazing story. Yeah. It is the iconic American, Rocky story, to see somebody come from nothing and do greatness. I think it's a bigger story when you come from greatness and continue to do it, because most kings do not have prominent princes.
Well, there's a
Love that one.
yeah. Well, and there's I wish I could cite it specifically, but I want to say there's like a generation thing. Like, basically, generational success only lasts at most 3 generations, because complacency starts to fill in somewhere around that second generation, and by the third, then it's like, oh, I don't have to do anything, and then it's done for.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I think especially raising kids, that's the struggle. Yeah. You want your kids. Look, you are who you are because of the adversity you had growing up. That's what made you who you were. So it's like you kind of want to parent the same way you were parented. Yeah. Because that's what made you. And most people that have.
That's why you get 3 generations out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the closest to the generation, you have them to distill some of the information they fucking understood, but 3 generations down, you're gonna lose all that shit. I'm fucked up. I gotta pee on that.
So when he said, "Oh, I'll pee outside," I was like, "Oh yeah, okay." But no, like I opened the bathroom door and it's like his heat oven for his helmets. So I was like, "Oh, he really wanted me to piss outside."
What else do we have? Oh, did anybody? I got a couple messages about this this Oklahoma 5. Is anybody familiar with that? I saw Nick was there.
Oklahoma 5.
Oh, yeah. God, I don't have my phone on me. It was OFC 5, the Oklahomies. Let's see, Joey sent me it on Instagram. He tagged me on it. And he goes, "Hey, have you heard anything about this?" I know it's a chopper thing, but you know, the best part about chopper shows is guys ride motorcycles there, and
Right.
most of the guys that ride motorcycles to the chopper events are usually on performance-oriented machines or sport touring, Harleys. But anyway, I was going through some of the pictures, and it looked like a really cool event. It was just this past weekend, June 9th through the 12th. But
Didn't know anything about it.
I think the Instagram page is the Oklahomies. Jace might know something, but Joey sent it to me. It looked like a dope ass time.
Huh.
I'm all for campouts. Jace, that's what I wanted to ask him when you get settled here. The Oklahomies, that OFC 5, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Did you see that? Joey, one of the kids that one of the younger guys that's been coming to bike night, he had tagged me in it day before yesterday, and I started following. I saw Knives by Nick was there. I think this is the 5th year they're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, where's it at in Oklahoma?
I think it's like a northeast.
Okay.
It's like between Tulsa and like 35.
Okay,
So I don't know. I've seen it for a couple years. I think it's rad. It's good for everybody to have like their own thing.
I
You know
love
what I'm
it.
saying?
I love it. It looked like it was a chopper show, but there were some guys that I started following off of that were on FXRs and Dynas that had ridden and camped out and hung out at the event. So I
I don't know who puts on the event, but I think like I said, I've seen it for a couple of years now, and I think it's rad. So Oklahomies, I remember that terminology I got from back in the day, skateboarding. Andrew Reynolds was a skater from Oklahoma.
and I didn't know Andrew Reynolds was from Oklahoma.
Yeah, he used to call something. I don't remember what it was, but it was like, yeah, the Oklahomies. I was like, okay, yeah, I fuck with that,
Dude,
You know what I
Andrew
mean?
Reynolds is the goat, dude.
Yeah.
For me, like skateboarding stuff, he has an amazing documentary that's
Yeah,
out
on fuck, what is it called? I talked about someone on the podcast. It's like fuck.
It's not on 30 for 30. or
No, it's
anything.
not that.
like-
It's like a Vice thing.
It's
they
a
do.
Vice thing. That's
Yeah.
what I thought. Yeah. Dude, watching him. So
Epically latered.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. That's it.
Yeah.
But watching him,
He
sit there-
mentors a lot of people.
Yeah.
So that's what I was saying. So on that same note, like I watched these skateboarding documentaries of all these people that I fucking followed growing up. And so that's what I'm saying. That I'm comparing the motorcycle culture to the skateboard culture that I grew up in, right? Sounds so fucking slurred. I'm sorry. I've
That's all
been
good.
drinking
You're all good.
whiskey and Dos Equis. Is there any more? No, you're out. That's right.
Dos Equis.
So,
Jason needs water.
yeah. I need. No, that's gay. So, Epically Latered has been a documentary series that's on YouTube about a lot of skateboarders that I
Yes.
think that my generation and yours
Yeah.
have grown up with.
They-
And so when you see these heirlooms of people who have created some kind of like notoriety to where now 20 years later I want to watch them, I learn from their story. And I think about that because it's so closely related to the motorcycle story, right? And so I watch all these things and I consume all this content, and then I think about the bikers and the builders and the people in our industry that have been the people, the mans, right? And I just apply the same concept. Like, okay, well, Tony Hawk didn't think he was going to be Tony Hawk, but he became Tony Hawk. So when you become Tony Hawk, what the fuck do you do with being Tony Hawk?
Right. Yeah. How do you navigate that?
Yeah. You know, there's so much of your life that becomes like out of your context, and you know what I mean. I understand how horrible that could be to be where your days don't exist on yourselves, but don't tell a broke man that.
No.
You know what I mean? Don't
Well,
tell somebody hustling,
look,
trying to get to your level.
He had spent so many years in an industry that, you know, look, it gave him good things, but it also took things away too, because, you know, he had to ride the wave with it. And you know, so he's I don't think he's ever lost perspective. Of course, I think
What was that the recent video? $1.4 billion his name is made for people.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's for other people. That's not
Other
even,
people.
And that's not. That I hope that includes his ex-wives. But the thing that the Ryan Reynolds thing was like, yeah, where are we at?
2.5 or 3.5.
Holy
3.5.
shit.
Damn.
Want to put a bow in it?
Yeah, we got to put a bow in it. This is not supposed to do this.
I guess kind of wrap this up. I am super excited. One, to be with you at Sturgis next year.
Your first
Can't
year.
wait. It's gonna be
This
so
year.
wild.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the wildest shit to be there and to see like by people from Dallas.
And I'll sit here and say we've got 2 spots where we're gonna have parties, like literally on the same block. So if you come, I know Corey doesn't drink, but if you come,
Corey still likes to chat.
Corey can be
Yeah.
a designated driver.
yeah. But if you guys come there and you guys have a good time, like you guys can stay there, obviously. But to be at Winton's house to see what 4 super customized lowrider STs.
Oh,
Yeah.
like we'll come and see the motorcycles.
So
Look,
Sunday night after the party, after the FXR show, Winton has the party with Scott and all the homies there, and Jake's got a spot across the street, and it's an invite only thing. So don't the podcast you're hearing it like we want everybody that's a part of this culture to be there. If if you're there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I'm not gonna post it on social media so anybody can show up, but
Right.
no,
so
man.
if they're hearing it, then this is their.
No, well, I mean they can hear it, but if they're there and they make the effort, then they can probably be there. But I'm not. It's not like, hey, we heard something on the podcast one day. What was it? What was the information again?
Yeah, we'll never put out the address.
Yeah,
basically.
go back.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is,
Well,
like,
I'm stoked. We'll be there to see it.
No.
If that's where we get a chance to see it first.
And there's going to be all types. I mean, last year there were all types of super customized bikes. Super cool to see.
it's like a bike show within like a nighttime party.
Yeah, within like a 50-person like.
And the food's all catered. It's all barbecue. Like
Yeah.
Scott and them are doing full barbecue. Like you show up, you're getting fed, you're getting drank,
Nice.
you're drinking
Nice.
on
I think
whatever.
I have an incredible appreciation for anybody that's willing to take apart a perfectly fine brand new motorcycle and do wild shit to it. Like when you take apart an old motorcycle, I'm like, yeah, you probably should.
Yeah.
There's probably good reason to take everything apart on that bike and go
Yeah.
through it. But when you take apart a perfectly fine running motorcycle and decide to do wild shit, like
Custom
I'm like,
motorcycling is a culture, man.
Oh, yeah.
it's a culture that is like being redefined currently through different models. Like different people are taking this idea and they're redefining it to fit the world they live in. And I think it's one of those things. It's like when all the dust settles, there's going to be many different facets of what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way that the way I'm redoing my lowrider ST right now versus the way that Jake and Lauren are doing their lowrider ST right now, it's not even the same.
no, it's completely
And so
different.
whenever you put those two together, like,
But I still love what you're doing. I really do.
but we appreciate each
Yeah.
other's fucking effort.
Yeah.
But at
Yeah.
the same time, like, Lauren's bike's about to be fucking like. I was gonna say this: the house in Deadwood this year, the party in Deadwood. If you're gonna get to come there, it's gonna be full of some of the baddest builds of 2023.
2023.
There's no doubt about that.
Straight up.
Yeah.
It's probably those bikes in that little cul-de-sac are probably going to win Sturgis.
Exactly. Whatever that means
Yeah.
is gonna be there right there.
Yeah, well, those bikes there are taking home trophies for this year at Sturgis.
Most likely.
Most likely.
They're taking home trophies, or they're actually just taking home fucking the rights on the gram. You know what I mean?
Well,
Right.
that's what wins. You know, to me, that's what wins. To see
you're
all
right.
the
You're
see
right.
all the love that comes off of the gram on to me, that's what wins. You know, look, I'm not the biggest fan of shows just because of the politics that's involved. I think the gram is
Agreed.
the great fucking equalizer if you want to know if your shit slaps or not. Like,
Yeah.
The
I'm
reshares,
too old
the
to be
posts,
saying
yeah.
slaps, but if you want to know if you want to know if you built a fucking amazing motorcycle, like break the fucking internet. Like break
Right.
because
how you win.
dudes
That's how
have
you
done
do
it. We've watched guys do it.
Well, I'm gonna say like this: like the pictures I've seen that Jeremy at Lucky Strike have done with
The paintwork,
the
the
paintwork.
tints.
Honestly, the paintwork, and then separated the just the frame and everything going together with the bike. They're all right, David.
Well, to
David
see-
Covington. I'm gonna put it out there. Like Jake and Lauren's build right now is rival to Scott's build right now.
No shit.
I think Scott's build he's got a lot of parts. It's gonna be a fucking
Well,
like
Scott's turbo, so that's the one thing that's like outside of what we're doing. But we've got the
Yeah, but
132 with like all souped up, right? So
But you've learned too that the turbo isn't the crescendo on any build, especially
it's not.
comfort.
It's all like it's how they do it. Like
Yeah.
like ultimately like when you look at like what Dave Covington does when he does a build, and this is another fucking thing. Like people don't. If you don't know who fucking Dave Covington is,
Exactly.
grow the fuck up, straight up.
right,
This dude is like
eBay some magazines.
The problem. I was thinking about this. Like, this dude, in a way, he's got a luxury, right? Most of us don't get to build a bike like 5 bikes a year.
Right.
Like, we're doing 1 or 2 bikes a year tops.
yeah,
He builds 5 bikes a year, and he has to like regulate his ideas and spread them out through 5 to 10 bikes a year.
Yeah.
because
Right.
like that dark blue Road Glide that was in Daytona, that was a fucking banger.
Oh,
man.
Brian's, yeah.
It's a banger, dude. Love
But
that
and
bike.
he's also across the board too. He has stayed pretty current with.
He's a
lot.
fabricator. He's a builder. He's a
Yeah.
guy that like goes out there and looks at a performance bike. All right, I'm gonna talk the shit for Dave because he's my homie. The industry looks at like performance bikes and they think there's no way to customize. And Dave looks at it like, how do I take what is on the table and put my skills in this mix?
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, like in the trendy side of our world, it hasn't caught on, right? But the problem is our trendy side of the world is like they're still hipsters.
Yeah.
They're still thinking like this because it's not cool, it's not popular, it's valuable.
Right.
No. We're in the industry to make money. Like I paint motorcycles to make money. I want to make art.
yeah,
But ultimately, if I got to fucking paint real fire and fucking skulls to pay my rent, bitch, you're getting the fucking sculliest fired out bitches.
I can't wait for True Flame to come back. Can't wait, dude. Jason will be
Anyway.
like, I got you, dog.
Oh, dude, I can't wait for that. I'm like, hey, yeah, like $2,000. $2,000.
right.
But anyway, Dave hit me up the other day or 2 nights ago. I was coming home drunk from doing the recap podcast with the homies.
Oh, the Friday one, yeah.
The fast side. He's like, oh, mushrooms. Like, in Oklahoma, dude. Like Woodward, Oklahoma. When I'm up there, like it's such a fucking like. It's like if you took all our worlds and you shoved them into like a 2-mile radius. Your life, my
Yeah.
life, mass life.
Yeah.
That's what Woodward, Oklahoma is. Nobody does drugs and nobody doesn't hear about it.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So like everybody.
Dave was in the fucking pub tonight, high on meth. It was mushrooms, bitch.
Right. I feel like you need to do a podcast where every person is doing a different drug and people got to guess which one they're on.
That's not a bad one. Sometimes drugs, man, like get these guys like, I don't know, man, like
superpowers.
straight up, like, I'm not trying to stroke Dave's dick, but I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be that hard. Dave is a bad motherfucker, man. He's a guy that like literally wakes up in the morning, goes to work, and thinks about how to make cool motorcycles.
Badass.
Like knowing his life and knowing the world he lives in up in the Covingtons area in Woodward, they wake up, they go to the shop. It's conducive to custom motorcycles.
Cool. That's
Like,
badass.
This is a pretty remote area too, right?
It's remote. There's no
there's
other
nothing
thing.
around. It's like
There's nothing.
so wild. It's like you're just in
There's
this,
not a strip club.
Yeah.
but it's really wild. It's like out in the middle of nowhere is where all this amazing shit happens. It's like Santa's workshop, dude.
Yeah.
It's literally like they might as well be the North Pole because there's nothing out there, you know. And where it's so wild.
And then the most profitable people that build bikes. That's what people don't understand about them. They make the most money. Like everybody's trying to build a bike and sell it, right? They sell the most bikes. They go to Sturgis, they paint 10 bikes. They build 10 bikes. They go to Sturgis, they set up, and they make $1 million fucking dollars selling fucking motorcycles.
That's crazy.
You don't understand, like
They sold those bikes right there.
the Covingtons are the shit. They are the fucking pinnacle of what you want to achieve to be in a motorcycle industry.
It's insane.
And they're under the radar.
That's awesome as shit.
yeah, it's not like there's not like a huge social media presence. It's
No.
You're probably pissed that I'm saying this right now.
No.
it's
They should sell a masterclass for
They should.
bikers that
Yeah.
want to be,
Yeah.
or bike builders that want to.
bike builders.
Yeah.
Bike builders. Yeah.
They
But I
can sell a masterclass for $100 for 2 hours. They're in insight.
but this goes back to my point about shining a light on craftsmen. They are true craftsmen, and they only hire and acquire true craftsmen. That's how you get a product like that. And I think there's a real lack of that in our society today. We have a lack of appreciation. I don't care, dude. I watch plumbing videos. You know, I watch somebody that knows how to appropriately plumb or do electrical work or air conditioning work. I have a true respect and appreciation for craftsmen. So that's what that is. Is, you know, there are probably lots of those that build chairs, that make things that we don't ever hear or know about, and they're probably just as G'd up as the Covingtons are. You know, in their particular segment, we just don't know about it.
Now, so Winton and Scott get that house. Dave wasn't there last year, was he?
Dave comes the Covingtons come through every year. So when the party's happening, they all come through and they hang out, but they're not staying there. They have their own house
Were
closer
they
to.
there last year? Did I just not see him? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, probably. Well, Dave was there when
Was
y'all
he?
came out. Yeah.
Okay.
Because last year was a wild one because I don't know the dude that I partied with all night where he ended up naked and fucking.
I left before then because we had to ride back in the rain. That's why we took off.
So there was a dude from La Paris Seats or something like, and we got in like a we're cool battle
Okay. All right.
on Instagram because the first year of my life I did not ride to Sturgis last year.
Yeah. Right. But you also didn't have a bike in general.
Yeah. I was like, well, I told my wife I'm going to be on the road for a whole month. I'm going to take you to fucking, Colorado. It's going to be our family vacation.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's cool. You're good. Hey babe, so on the way to Colorado, can we go to Sturgis first? So I work it in.
It's way past Colorado.
I'll work it in, and I go to Sturgis. And then the one time in my fucking life I go to Sturgis and I don't ride there, there's a guy there that's like at the Winton's party. That's like, did y'all ride here? Did y'all ride here? Did you ride here?
You did the snap.
He started just fucking snapping on me. And Scott, bless his soul, he asked me what I wanted to drink, and I said, I like Jameson. He brought a handle of Jameson. What he didn't realize is that Monty Roach was also going to come to this night, and he's a Jameson connoisseur. So he fucking drank us out of Jameson the entire night. And next thing you know, I end up finding myself shirtless, debating the guy that rode there, how important I am, also how important he is. I could have had sex with my wife, but that window was over.
You will be having these conversations in Sturgis, most likely.
There was also the conversation where Jacob brought his son for his first Sturgis.
Oh, yeah. He's like 10 years old.
And we
right?
were trying to get him to finger barbecue or something like that.
Yeah.
You're a man now. Sturgis it's a rite of passage for a biker, dude. Grow the fuck up.
And
Show up.
10-year-olds.
Yeah.
Dude, if I ever get to take my son to Sturgis, I will cry. Straight up. When's crying allowed? What age?
What do you mean? It's always allowed.
No, it's not. When
Yeah.
can I cry like cool as shit?
As an adult?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
When can you cry, but it's not like a cringe? It's not like you're like doing
it
the
depends on
grand-
the scenario.
Anytime you're not in jail, prison, or county. How's that? That just kind of broadens the field, and just
man.
or narrows it.
It opens up too much wormholes of opportunities. Dude, these whiskey podcasts,
I'm loving them, man.
they're good, dude. We got to do one after Sturgis.
100%.
Okay, let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it.
And
We'll do a wrap.
Apparently the rain's gone. 'Cause we
Yeah,
don't hear
now
it
it's
anymore.
quiet.
Finally.
What else you got?
So ask you.
Jason's like, I need a nap.
No, I think it's good, man. I'm enjoying like this different perspective. I think the whiskey thing is good. We didn't even talk about the whiskey. What's up with this?
So Willet, I mean, I've had it before, but man, that was super smooth. 94
it was
proof.
too smooth, actually.
Too smooth. It's like $50, I think, this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a relatively inexpensive bottle, but man,
The 90
banger.
proof, I think, whooped our ass on that one. The 90 proof whooped our ass.
that's a 94, and the one last time was 80.
Yeah,
So
so-
we had a little bit more.
Yeah, this one whooped our ass.
Well, I enjoyed it. I think it was it was super smooth.
Oh, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
But we killed the last bottle, so
That's true.
yeah. Look,
Well,
it's
we
not-
killed the last ball, but
Matt did have some.
Matt didn't have any this time.
That's
No.
true. Oh, yeah. We didn't even offer you. Damn. Sorry.
I
man.
offered him. He
Yeah.
said he wasn't.
Oh, he was in. Okay.
Matt's
he was like,
no.
I'm not into gay sex. So.
I'm just recorded.
Just recorded.
No, I think this is fun, man. Like I'm, dude. Like this, every time, every year, like your new experience is a new experience for the listeners, man. Like, and I don't know, I just like it. Like, I have experience in a lot of different motorcycles parts of this world, but you don't.
No,
But you do. But you don't.
Right.
Right.
I finally getting some more personal time to spend doing some of these trips and being more involved. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And hey, look, none of this exists without some of the seeds that you've planted with this. And this goes back to, I mean, everybody in that fucking group photo right there, dude.
Yeah.
Like that's where all this starts. So.
Yeah.
I'm just stoked to be a part of it.
Well, you guys bring a perspective that's unique and different, and that's what I want to do with this like version of this podcast. Are we got Whisky Boys? Is that what we're doing?
No, He called it earlier, dude.
No. Didn't you call it?
No,
You said
you're
like
too-
in the woods.
Oh,
or
off in the
something?
woods. Off in the woods. Yeah.
We need to fucking like put a name on this where
Off
it can
in the
be.
wood. I'm going with off in the woods.
I like
dude.
off in the woods.
All right.
Because that's where the conversation ends up going, and nobody
I love
wants,
it.
nobody wants to beat it.
Yeah, we dare you to beat off in the woods.
Anyway, you guys out there, you'll probably like. I think that we'll. I don't know. We won't do this podcast before Sturgis. Like,
Probably not. No.
no,
not. It'll probably be
they're
after.
probably after Sturgis.
Everybody's
Yeah.
busy as shit.
Yeah.
But we got to make sure we get it in after Sturgis and before.
Down south and all that.
Well, we got plenty of time before, just because now the 120th is in July and not in September. We actually have a pretty big gap between the hometown rally, Sturgis and down south. Because there's
Yeah,
nothing.
we do.
I guess we got all the October shit though. We got like Run Terlingua and
Terlingua, Born Free,
Born
Born Free Tour, FXR
but
Tour.
even Run Terlingua's like second weekend of October from
It's the weekend before
Born Free.
Born Free.
yeah yeah. So now that hometown rally is in July, we got plenty of time to do something.
Well, if we do a podcast, we do this in August after, because I'll be here for a whole the remainder of August. We do a recap. That'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
we need to do that right after, or
Yeah.
like
See what everybody's. Because look, we're not going to be together the entire time, so it's going to be cool to see what everybody's perspective was. I know we're going to link up. I mean, this
We will.
this is definitely going to happen.
Yeah.
Because I want to see the bikes.
Yeah.
I know Corey's going to want to see the bikes.
Yeah.
Um,
and we're just gonna be at events naturally.
Naturally. Probably the only time we won't see each other is if we're not riding together. It'll be in the evenings. The rest of the time during the day, we're probably all going to be at the same fucking spot. So.
Yeah.
So,
It'll be good, man.
Yeah,
I
it's gonna be
appreciate
dope.
you guys. Like, I enjoy this, dude. This
we appreciate you, Jace. Thank you.
dude. This
Thank
is
you.
fun, man.
It's awesome. Always.
It's a great new perspective on the podcast.
Exactly.
Thank you.